Okay. All right. Hello. Hello. Good morning. Good morning. This is a vibe today. Let's just feel this for a second. Ooh. 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 Good morning. Good morning. I needed a good vibe today. We've got an excellent vibe going. Dungeons and Dragons battle for Baldur's Gate. Some companies still know how business is done. If you get that reference, you're in the right place. What's up, everybody? How we doing? Good morning. Good morning. Picked up 6 copies of Tiamat just for this set. Wow. Wow. There you go, Math Pones. There you go. What are we getting? What's the poll say? Let's say, oh man, Ridiculous Reprints is killing all the other options here. Sick new commanders, excellent pieces for my decks. Ridiculous Reprints are mind-blowing rare land cycle. Nobody's really on that one. You know, that might break everything. Jeweled Mox. Oh, that would be silly. That would be super silly. I'm hoping we get the Medallions. Need a reprint. The Dockside Extortionist needs a reprint. That one I feel like is looming, but I honestly don't know if we're going to see it even this year. EDH only Ancestral Recall. Oh, that's an interesting idea. They go back and they start reprinting the reserve list just straight up, but just put the word commander in the Oracle text. That's pretty sick. Right, you, what's up? Yeah, Chris, see, I think that it's too soon for a Dockside reprint. And I know that's weird to say because it's been a while. Dockside was 2019. Yeah, I wanted to double check. C19 was Dockside. Jeweled Lotus. Yeah, I don't think we see Jeweled Lotus already. I think that's how you sell Commander Legends 3, you know? Is all the stuff from 1. Maybe like they did with Modern Horizons 2, we get some sort of like special foiled version as an extra inclusion, because you would assume they're gonna try and make collector boosters of this ridiculous. But we did just see the reveal of the 2XM collector booster packaging, at least, and they showed us like multiple heavy hitters right out of the gate as far as value. So maybe that's where they're like, this is our ridiculous collector booster set this year. But they also know that's a premium set, and Commander Legends is supposed to be the social format of Magic the Gathering. Jeweled Mox would be awesome. They said, we said. I see you hanging out. What's up? Kendo, I ain't seen you in a hot minute. Yeah, everybody, Spence, that's a great note there. If you would do me a favor, hit that like button under this video. It punches the video out to other people. If people are saying, I like it, and I represent that by pressing this button, I did it. Fly, algorithm, fly. Hitting that like button definitely helps us out. We got to at least get it to 69. Surely we can get it to 69. The like button is not reserve list. You can re-click it. It's early. My best stuff's not coming out yet. We got about 5 minutes until this Battle for Baldur's Gate stream starts. And let me talk to you about this. Let me talk to you about how this stream is going to go if you haven't joined us for a reveal day before. Mr. DJ Long here with the super chat. Good AM all. Good to see you all. Good to see you, Mr. DJ. Now look, we watch pretty much all of these, the reveal streams and the preview streams like we're going to see here today, where we actually get mechanics and we actually get, you know, probably a nice slew of preview cards to start off the whole thing. I'm going to be talking over this. If you want to watch it uninterrupted, go watch the official stream. That's what I've got pulled up right here. It's on Wizards official YouTube channel. But if you don't mind some talking over it, some little chit-chatting with the chit-chat, then you're in the right place. If you want to go watch it uninterrupted, please feel free. You can come back after. We'll be discussing the cards for about an hour. So that's basically how today is going to go. We're going to watch what they've got for us here. It's probably going to be, what would y'all say, 30 minutes? For people who've never seen one of these before. They're normally like 30 minutes long, right? Sometimes it's dripping in cringe. Sometimes there's just a twinge of cringe. But it's always going to be fun because we're going to see new cards. That's all that matters, right? I got a twinge of cringe when I said that. I said, oh, sometimes they're fun. Sometimes Rosewater goes a little too long. Wyatt with the super chat. Can't wait to throw bolts. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you, Wyatt, for that super chat. We certainly appreciate it. I am Joel, by the way, one half of Jake and Joel are Magic. Jake, unfortunately, is not going to be able to join us today. You got to deal with just me. But me, y'all, we're going to put on a great show. We're going to have some good discussion afterwards. If you want to support us, if you've been liking our stuff, if this is like your second or third stream and you haven't clicked subscribe yet, think about doing that. And if you haven't checked out our Patreon, that's where the action happens, y'all. There in Discord. Patreon's going to get you into our Commander League just right off the rip. Play Commander over spelltable from the comfort of your home for prizes. You're going to get that just for signing up for the Patreon. You're also going to get VIP Discord access, special rooms inside our Discord that are just for patrons. That's where I do a lot of signaling of the cards that I'm about to make shorts for that we're accidentally going to make go up in price. You're going to see a lot of like help us with our videos type questions in there. It's a cool place. Who invited Naked HD? Get out of here. We are very, very close. Bots are getting real. Oh man, Joel's the ick in Magic. Aww. I want to be the Mage. Derek, I think that's the one we're most excited for too. Double Masters is going to be insane. This is obviously going to be super hype. I liked the first time around with Commander Legends where we had the sort of like they could pull in from anywhere in the multiverse, and it was not only you know, dope reprint set and a really cool commander set, but it was also a nice little like in jokes and references set. You know what I'm saying? Let's swap over. I want to swap over.
Welcome to a very special edition of Weekly MTG. It is the debut for
I'm gonna swap
Commander
over as soon
Legends
as I figure out what my
Battle
technical
for Baldur's
difficulty is,
Gate.
chat.
I have two fantastic guests with me today. I have a Corey Bowen from the Magic side, and we have a special guest, Brandy Camel from the D&D team. Corey, why don't you tell the folks at home a little bit about what you do on Magic?
Hello, I'm Corey Bowen, as previously introduced. So I'm a game designer in Magic the Gathering. I help make Magic cards. I mostly work with Commander sets, and I've made a lot of Commander pre-constructed decks you've seen in the past couple of years. For Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate, I was the lead set designer for this set, so this was my first big draft set.
Charles, thank you for that super chat. I do agree that Shrek is love.
So I'm very excited for everyone to see it.
Yeah, we're excited to talk about it. Brandy, you're our D&D expert, but what do you do on a daily basis?
Absolutely. So I'm Brandy Camel. I am the community lead for Dungeons and Dragons. So I do a lot of the same kinds of things that the community managers do for Magic the Gathering. Things like getting resources together for designers, passing on feedback. I handle the Dungeons and Dragons Discord, and I do lots of behind-the-scenes planning for content plans and things like that. That's boring marketing side of what I do.
But what you're here for today is to be our sort of D&D translator and sort of let us know the cool story behind a lot of who these characters are, where these places are. And let's start with the name of the set, because it's Battle for Baldur's Gate, but that's not a place that Magic fans are going to necessarily be familiar with. So, Brandy, tell us, what is Baldur's Gate?
So Baldur's Gate is one of the larger metropolitan cities in what is called the Forgotten Realms, which is one of our most well-known settings in Dungeons and Dragons. Has been around for 40-ish years or something to that degree. You might be familiar with Baldur's Gate from the series of games that came out in the 90s. There's Baldur's Gate 1, Baldur's Gate 2, we have Baldur's Gate 3 coming on the horizon.
Look at that stuff at the bottom. You meet a legend, you encounter a monster, you find some treasure is that last one.
Massive city. There's lots of kind of political intrigue. It's run by a series of 4 nobles. There's like the upper city and the lower city, and there's just a lot to explore in Baldur's Gate.
Nothing's been revealed yet.
So
we're just
Corey,
right here at the beginning, y'all.
This set, I mean, obviously there's the Commander Legends portion of it, which is
hit that like
drafting
button.
Commander, which is
Please.
really cool. But it's set in Baldur's Gate. How does the set try to capture the feel of what Brandy was just talking about?
Right, so this idea of a Commander Legends, Commander Draft format actually plays really into some of these themes Brandy was touching upon. You know, Baldur's Gate, it's a very political atmosphere. There's a huge political divides. There's people always trying to make alliances for political reasons, betray each other. You know, there's an undercity to explore. But a lot of the Baldur's Gate, you know, stratosphere and adventure is around this kind of political intrigue. And so with Commander, it's a multiplayer game, and so you are playing Magic with other players, and there's a lot of times during your draft or during your game where you're trying to make deals with people or make alliances or, you know, betray other people, much like an average Baldur's Gate citizen. And in that sense, those two marry very well together in the multiplayer format of Baldur's Gate. And so while we're making the set, we're just trying to...
Yeah, John, I've noticed this is a little...
you know,
I was expecting something super produced. They didn't overproduce for this one.
Well, let's talk about some of the mechanics that
Just
you
a chat
use
this
to
time.
paint this set. So we've got a couple new ones. The first one is called Background. So let's, you're going to see background on some legends and some enchantments. So let's take
Official
a look
reveal
at
of what
our
background
first
is. Here we
preview
go.
Card, Volo Iterant Scholar. So we met Volo last time we were in D&D World for Magic. This is a little bit different. This is a 2/3 legendary creature human wizard for 2 and a blue. When Volo enters the battlefield, create Volo's Journal, a legendary creature artifact token with hexproof, and when you cast a creature spell, note one of its creature types that hasn't been noted for the artifact. So he's just jotting down creatures. And then you can draw a card for each creature type noted for target permanent you control named Volo's Journal. Also notice there, the rulebook frame is returning. So we talked about that with the pre-beat, but we'll see a bunch of rulebook frame cards in here.
What?
But the thing
Hang
we want
on.
to focus on right now is that line of text at the bottom that says, choose a background.
I got to parse
so
that
let's
card.
take a look at 2 backgrounds, and then
All right,
we'll have Corey
background.
tell us
Here we
what
go.
all of this means.
Legendary enchantments.
So Noble Heritage is a legendary enchantment background, a new subtype. That's 1 and a white, And it says commander creatures you own have, when this creature enters the battlefield and at the beginning of your upkeep, each player may put 2+1/+1 counters on a creature they control. For each opponent who does, you gain protection from that player until your next turn. Criminal Past is an enchantment for 2 and a black, and it says commander creatures you own have menace, and this creature gets +X/+0, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. All right, Corey, what's going on here with background?
So there's a lot going on with backgrounds. We just saw Volo has a bunch of text, has choose a background, and all these backgrounds, and essentially what these are, it's a partner-like mechanic where if I have a legendary creature that can choose a background, and that card is my commander, then I can also have a legendary enchantment that is a background as my commander as well. So these enchantments can be your commander or in the command zone, rather, if your commander has choose a background. And functionally, they'll function very similar to partner, where you can cast them from the command zone whenever you want. And as they are removed and go back to the command zone, you'll have to pay 2 for every other time you played your background. All of the backgrounds have this kind of crafting text.
Okay, so enchantments out of the command zone.
Your commander, flavorfully, backgrounds are a mechanic in Dungeons and Dragons. When you're making your character, you choose your, your race, your class, and also your background. So it's a way of, telling your friends what your story is, who you are as a character. And in a commander draft set, while you're drafting legendary creatures, it's a way to bring that kind of character customization feel from Dungeons and Dragons into Commander, where I'm Volo, and this game or this draft, I'm Volo with a criminal past. That's my D&D characters. I'm this bardic wizard with a criminal past, or maybe I'm a noble Volo this time. I've decided that I'm noble Volo, so I have this nobility kind of ability.
Yeah,
or
John.
or whatever.
Disenchant someone's childhood. Disenchant someone's family heritage.
Whimsical backgrounds, many of them based around
enchantment removal is going to be pretty big for this set.
And many of them based off of other whimsical stuff.
I'm assuming we're going to get like one killer commander that uses background.
And so,
and that'll be the background commander.
Enchantments help define what colors
maybe
your
2,
deck can
maybe
be?
3.
Right. So there was so much going on. I forgot to mention partners served a very important role in the first Commander Legends, which helped the draft kind of work. Is that there was a bunch of monocolor partners where you could draft them and build a 2-color deck with 2 partners, and it helped you flexible in your draft. If you had a red partner, you could still be open to red-black or red-green. Turns out that's very important in a Commander draft format, to have that flexibility, to not be so rigid in your color identity. And so backgrounds, much like partners, define your color identity, and a lot of the function in a set in the first place is to help us stay flexible, but kind of bring a new definition of
interesting
partner.
Yeah, Bobby, this is the fixing that we were wondering what they were going to do, if they were going to lean away from partner, which they had told us that they were.
Really enjoy.
All right. Let's move on to the next new mechanic of 2 new mechanics. So this one is called Initiative.
Interesting.
And we see Initiative on another preview card, White Plume Adventurer, here in both the main and extended versions. And you'll notice it says, when it enters the battlefield, you take the initiative, and then it's got some rider text. If you've completed a dungeon, untap all creatures you control instead of just untapping a single creature. And then to know what the initiative does, we've got a little Dungeon and a Helper card here. So when you take the initiative, you venture into the Undercity. So you venture into a specific dungeon, this dungeon here. So Corey, what's going on with initiative?
Right, so Dungeons and Dragons, the first word we say is dungeons. Adventures in the Forgotten Realms have introduced this dungeon mechanic. And we wanted to play off of the dungeon mechanic in kind of a new, fresh way that maybe was a little bit more multiplayer orientated. Similarly, there's a very beloved mechanic in Commander called Monarch that works similarly to the initiative, where there's this helper card that kind of moves around as you deal combat damage to people and provides value for everyone. And very early in the set design and vision design, we thought to ourselves, hey, Monarch dungeon, like a Monarch dungeon thing. I have a Monarch, but it ventures me into a dungeon. What does that mean? And this is kind of where we ended up. And it's really cool. It's the initiative. You hit people, you venture into the Undercity, which is, this sprawling dungeon underneath Baldur's Gate itself. It adds a lot of value stuff. It works with your old dungeon cards in a very interesting way, but in this draft
Final
format,
of that dungeon is pretty sick. And honestly, search for a land, scry 2, goad, draw a card, reveal the top 10.
It's a lot of fun.
Get a free creature.
All right. The next mechanic we're going to talk about isn't so much a mechanic as it is sort of a card subtype that has a mechanical identity to it. The return of gates, which just makes sense. And it makes sense because this card right here,
there it is. They said it.
It's
like saying the title of the movie in the movie.
Corey, before you talk about this card,
what are we, some kind of Baldur's Gate?
Baldur's Gate in it. I have to point out the flavor text on this, which is just fantastic. Of course, I know what eponymous means. It's a little horse. Here's the gate card. That flavor text works on so many levels, and I love it so much. Anyway, okay. Baldur's Gate. This is very on the nose, Corey. Why are gates returning?
Everybody say hey to Jake. That's Jake on the official Jake and Joel Magic chat right there. What's up, Jake?
Baldur's Gate. What's the second word? It's gates. There's actually 9 gates in Baldur's Gate separating the different districts and the different levels of the city. And in this set, it's more of a lighter archetype. There's no color pair that's associated towards it, but there are 9 gates in this set representing the 9 gates in Baldur's Gate. Some of the commons are kind of the pivotal land fixing that you have in your booster packs to help your commander decks get some lands that and some mana fixing that makes sense. And then there's some commons and an uncommon and this rare that all scale off of the gates you control. So a lot of your gate rewards are actually gates themselves, like this Baldur's Gate that gives you mana scaled on your gates. There'll be a few other cards in the set that care about gates as well, but we thought it was a really delightful little light touch synergy mechanic that it's really fun to draft. When you're picking your fixing, you're suddenly open to this fun little gate matter stuff, and there may or may not be a legend in the set as well that also.
Yeah, that's a good point, David. At least it doesn't come into play tapped.
Also, quick note about the little horse flavor text. I believe in Baldur's Gate there's actually a size limit to how big animals can be in the city, so it makes sense that they only know what little horses are.
Okay.
Yet another level on that.
Told you there'd be a twinge.
All right. Real quick, we're going to kind of run through. So when you're drafting this set, the different colors have different themes. They have different ways they interact with each other. So
when you draft Magic, the different colors have different themes. Somebody write that down.
Their identity in the set. Let's start with white. Let's take a look at some of the commons and uncommons from the set.
We gotta remember that.
So Corey, what is white trying to do in this set?
Yeah, so a lot of White's
lots of cards all at once here.
Is kind of focused around tokens in some sense and going wide. So White likes generating tokens. White likes things leaving the battlefield, so some more sacrificing token synergies works really well. White likes attacking each of your opponents, which going wide also helps out.
Can somebody read these for me?
A lot of what these
Thank
cards
you.
See, Lulu, our lovely little Holophant down there, gives you a bonus if something left your battlefield this turn. Which there will be
Abdel is pretty cool board wipe protection.
Ellen cares about tokens entering the battlefield, and tokens definitely enter the battlefield in this set. So there's all these little synergies that help White sing and kind of link up with each other. There's also entering the battlefield and some ETB blink stuff. There's a little bit of that in the set as well, as you can see with kind of Abdel Adrian down there.
Ellen Harbreeze is the kind of token support that I've been talking about. Is just
and some more commons and uncommons.
Becoming more and more powerful.
Right, so blue is a lot of different things. Blue is about saboteuring. Kind of the blue-black archetype is more initiative focused, which really helps if you're evasive and you can attack people. Blue also has some blinking stuff going on. There's a little bit of adventuring. And a little bit of, not shown here, but there's some dragon themes in blue as well. So blue's got a lot going on, but a lot of it can be focused on, hey, flying creatures, pretty good when I can hit my opponents and also play large flying creatures that happen to have the dragon type.
All right, let's take a look at black.
I definitely see where that's going. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
What's black up to, Corey?
Right. So black is doing a lot of standard black things. With blue, it does care about some initiative stuff as well, but there's a lot of graveyard synergy, sacrifice synergy, some stuff you kind of expect to see from black. Baldur's Gate, I think, is in general a very black aligned city. There's a lot of cutthroat, there's a lot of undead, there's a lot of just very nasty, evil things going on, and so all these black cards kind of feel at home here.
All right, and then red.
Yeah, so a lot of red is kind of.
We are really
focused
rifling
around,
through these.
The dragons and Dungeons
Are these
and
all the
Dragons,
ones that got revealed,
but
or are they
also,
just like,
I
haha,
said
here
earlier,
we go?
attacking each opponent.
You wanted to see these in the leaks? Check them out now.
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly the dragons attacking opponents, getting treasure. There's some goading cards in this set as well, although it's not particularly a theme, but it's a very fun thing to do in multiplayer games.
All right, and then green.
Right. Well, this is a commander set, so green likes going a little big. There's some ramp going on to get to our giant, tasty, awesome dragons. There's 2 dragons here that you can look at and think that they're very cool, because I do think that they are very cool. They're also making tokens in green here. As you can see, Halcyon and Cloakwood Hermits are both cards that either synergize or create tokens. Love that rulebook frame of Halcyon art. That's a very cute little baby bear.
Adventure.
Yeah.
All right, and then let's take a look at some gold cards. So what role are the gold cards playing in this set?
Right. So the structure of
This
set
card reveal is akin
pretty
to their
similar
normal
to
release
Mana
schedule
Legends.
of just
The
like
first Mana
stop.
in terms of the gold cards. There's going to be 10 uncommon 2-color legends that kind of tell you kind of what the more structured theme of the limited archetypes are doing. You can see here Commander Liara Porter. She's about attacking each opponent. That's kind of the idea there. You can see OG here
if you've completed a dungeon, that creature also gets +5/+0 and gains first strike and menace.
Some second spell synergy to work with
and
Avengers.
death touch.
So that's kind of the theme with OG. And then Rissla Rail is very hard on taking the initiative, completing a dungeon, and then buffing your saboteur creatures, essentially. So a lot of the uncommons are going to be kind of that aligned. We'll also have rare gold legends that are going to be more of the sidestep stuff to do in this set that, maybe if it's your 4th or 5th or nth draft or whatever, and you are bored of the limited archetypes, there's a lot to do, a lot of unique commanders, and a lot of the rare gold cards are going to let you do some kind of wackier stuff.
All right. And then finally, in our trip through the colors, the non-color cards. So we're going to talk more about some artifacts under You Find Some Treasure. But yeah, you'll see some of the artifacts that are in store for this set here. But I want to move on to...
Is this mostly the leak cards? They're just like, here.
My
if y'all like leaks, you're going to be bored for the first 20 minutes.
You meet a legend. This set is absolutely packed with legendary characters from the world of D&D. So we're going to play a little game. We're going to show a card.
We're going to play a game, everybody. Get ready for a game.
Brandy, you are going to tell us who that legendary character is. Give us their backstory a little bit. And then Corey's going to tell us how that character was translated to the card you're going to see in front of us. And we're going to start with a card that so many people asked for after Adventures in the Forgotten Realms that I've lost track, as Elminster, a planeswalker who can be your commander. Brandy, who is Elminster, and why were people asking for him so much?
So Elminster's kind of a big deal. He is kind of, if you want to draw an analogy to another
hang on.
big IP out there,
that
he
passive is pretty good.
The Forgotten Realms version of Gandalf.
Plus it ticks
in a way.
up to
He
draw
is the most
cards.
Powerful wizard. He's the one people go to for guidance, and he's also the one who kind of like sneaks around behind the scenes oftentimes to nudge things in the right direction. And I think the reason that people were probably asking so much for Elminster is that Elminster is like the core centralized character written by Ed Greenwood, who's the creator of the Forgotten Realms. So that's most likely
create
why
a number
they
of
felt
1/1
he
blue
was
fairy
missing from the
dragon
set
creature
that
tokens with
introduced
flying
the
evil
Forgotten
cards
Realms.
mana
He's
value?
he's sort of seen as the grandfather of that world. So I think people are going to be really excited to see him in this set.
All right, and Corey, obviously this is a big deal. This is a planeswalker who can be your commander. So how did you translate Elminster to the set?
Yeah, there are so many things you could do with Elminster. He's one of those characters that just has a huge ability suite, and
That's interesting. I kind of dig
wizard with many feats, many steps. So we're kind of honing down some.
Know what the top card of your library is? Cool. Create 8/1/1 flyers.
We ended up on this mixture of instance and sorcery mattering, which feels very native to wizards, and we actually ended up going with somewhat of a scry theme with Elminster. We thought that a blue-white scry commander that was Planeswalker felt like a very interesting space. It kind of fits someone who kind of is all-knowing in some sense, or you know, has such a broad.
At least it doesn't say pick a background.
What their knowledge is, you know, Elminster, he can know so much, see so much, obviously. So scrying kind of fit well, and making your bigger instant sorceries cost less. We liked.
That's what I'm talking about.
Motivation to
Exile into the infinite.
Instants and sorceries to feel like a more powerful
I'll
wizard.
create
so,
a few fairy
That
dragons.
statics can be really
and
good
pass.
casting your big instants and sorceries, and that -3 is going to be really beneficial if you got a large spell on top of your library.
All right, next up, Brandy. Who is Miracle, Lord of Bones? It's got that legendary creature god type line in there.
Ooh.
Absolutely.
I like an
Miracle is
indestructible
exactly
if
that.
you're
Miracle
half
is one
your
of
life
the,
total.
The more maligned deities in the Forgotten Realms, associated kind of with death largely, and necromancy. So you'll find Miracle iconography in, you know, kind of the more vile
Token that's a
crypts
copy of the
that you stumble
card,
into on the realms,
except
or
it's an
among cultists
enchantment
that you
and loses
might
all other
battle.
card
So
types.
I definitely like Blackstead
Meaning
on
it's
for
no
Miracle,
longer a
for
creature?
sure.
Is that correct? Meaning
All
it
right,
can't
Corey?
attack or block? You just want passive effects?
So her goal is
Am I reading
one
this
of,
correctly?
The trio affectionately called the Dead Three, or such and such, one of the 3 dead gods. So in Magic, we have
You
know,
want
we've made a lot of gods.
whenever a
before,
non-token
and
creature
some of
you
those
control
gods
dies,
were
exile it.
indestructible if you had or under certain
it's an enchantment and loses all card
restriction
types.
or condition.
Is
And
it gotta
so
be a
with
creature to
Miracle being
attack?
a dead god, we thought it would be cool if he was
'Cause
indestructible,
if
like
it-
gods are, under some sort of
It would say
harmful restriction
in
to
addition
use. So
to
we
its
had him
creature,
being
in addition to its
indestructible
types, right?
as long as your life total is half or less. So you really have to be devoted to a dead god.
ETBs, yeah,
to receive
ETBs
this
and
godly
passive.
benefit. And this other ability, when your
ETBs
creatures
and
die, they
passive
come back
effects.
as enchantments.
Like
So
anthems.
If you have a creature with a really cool static ability, or a enters the battlefield ability and it dies,
That's
it'll
what
come
he's
back
saying.
and its corpse will kind of be hanging around. It can't attack, it can't block, but it's still doing its thing because it's dead and it is never dying, just like Miracle.
All right, next up, let's meet Levon, Cultist of Tiamat. Brandy, who's this?
So I actually don't know, and I think that's because this might be one of the characters that was
JMO, I
created
don't think
for this
that's
set.
me. I think that's on their side.
Corey, is that the case?
Yeah, so this is Levon. This is a Dragonborn in Baldur's Gate. Dragonborn are not super new, but in D&D's history, they're kind of appearing more in the latter half of D&D's, the more recent half of D&D's history, and a lot of the Baldur's Gate media and Baldur's Gate games were developed before Dragonborn, so there's not a lot of notable Dragonborn legends that we could bring into the set, but we really wanted to have a dragon theme. Dragons are really cool. They're very cool for Commander. They're very cool for D&D, and we wanted to have large dragons and Dragonborn
Oh,
characters show
wow,
up.
thank you for
So,
the offer, Naked HD, but I am good.
fabricated some new characters, some Dragonborn showing up in Baldur's Gate, and the Cult of Tiamat is a very classic D&D 5e faction or group that hangs out in the Forgotten Realms, so it felt pretty natural to have Levon hang out here.
All right, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that our next card is also one of those made-up characters. Lejean, Dragon's Legacy, is that right?
Yeah, I believe so. I think this
it's
is
not a name I recognize.
Right. I mean, I can give you a little fun fact that I believe this was trying to be I don't know if this ended up being that or not, but we were thinking about this card as a psionic sorcerer from the 5e, psionic subclass rules. I don't know if that's made it all the way to the end, but certainly was being playtested a lot as Aberrant Mind.
Yes, Aberrant Mind did in fact make it in. I believe it's in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything.
Perfect.
All right. Well, our next preview card, Brandy, I believe we're back to these being characters that we've met before in D&D.
Yes.
Lae'zel, am I
I don't know
pronouncing
what all
that
that
right?
was about.
Lae'zel.
Lae'zel.
Yeah.
And who is a Lae'zel and what is a GIF?
Okay, there's a lot.
A
to
GIF is
explain
a
here.
moving
So-
picture.
Big question. What is a GIF is a big
yeah,
question.
very big question. So the GIF are a powerful warrior race that is found among the astral planes, which is one of the more like
pronounced
star-like
Jith.
interplanetary sort of planes of existence. And Lae'zel
Bro, what is
is
up with
actually
the
one of the
spam today?
companions you'll meet in Baldur's Gate 3. You can meet up with her pretty much immediately in the early access that's available. And she is a very powerful warrior, and often, if you don't use her as a tank, you probably steal her armor because it's awesome. So,
All right, Corey, how does that translate to magic?
Right. So Lae'zel, again, one
Wow,
of the
that's
companions in
actually pretty
Baldur's Gate
good.
3,
This
the
is kind of a
gift,
strong card.
and their whole astral sea conflict comes very much into play in the first thing you do in Baldur's Gate 3, which is crash on your giant Nautilus starship. Anyhow, Lae'zel is a warrior, and so the kind of counters that you're going to be putting on your creatures in this set are mostly +1/+1 counters. Now, you notice when we talk about some of the mechanics, that's not really a main draft archetype theme, but this is a rare legend, and so,
Yeah, so
there are
like,
cards in this set that
look
put
for this
+1/+1
card to
counters on
find a
your stuff.
home in
And as a rare legend,
Rainbow
this kinda
Brick,
gives you a
Chromatic
chance to do
Bridge, whatever
something
it's
a little
called.
bit outside the norm for the
Atraxa.
draft archetypes and draft in a way that's a little bit against the grain for
also mono
the
white
standard
Heliod
archetypes. And,
type decks
Lae'zel, being a warrior,
with
both
walking
counters
ballista
make your
finisher.
creatures attack and block better, and so she makes
I could see this doing that.
those enhancements and buffs a little stronger as well.
All right, next up we have a very interesting card called the Faceless One. Brandy, give us a little background on this legendary enchantment creature background.
so this is very much a reference to a specific background that was provided in Baldur's Gate: Descent into Avernus, and in that particular adventure, it's not really a spoiler at this point because it happens in like the first your first session of the game will probably start this way, but a portion of Baldur's Gate falls into the first layer of hell, and that kind of kicks off all of these events that happen. And so Faceless One's one of the backgrounds that you can have, because there are not only are there kind of unscrupulous types of people who inhabit Baldur's Gate, but you might have good reason.
Yeah, Peter,
to want
they've
to
talked about
disguise
background.
yourself,
It's kind of like
or
Partner,
take on
except
the
they're
persona of
legendary
somebody
enchantments.
else when you find yourself on the first layer of hell.
All right, and Corey, what's going on with this card in the set? Looks a little wild.
Well, there's a lot going on. So yes, this is a background. This is also says choose a background. This is a creature enchantments background. It's a lot going on. So in our first Commander Legends, we had a card called the Prismatic Piper that was a partner that you could choose its color identity. And the purpose of that card is that if I drafted just one partner or no partners and I needed a commander for my draft deck, I would have that. Well, in this set, we're trying to get a choose a background legend and a background enchantment. There's kind of two pieces to the puzzle I need to have in order to have a commander for draft. And there was still some need to have something that was like the Prismatic Piper that was this backup commander that I could use, if I wasn't able to draft anything that made sense. So the Faceless One is both of those halves in one card. If I don't have, if I did not draft a legendary creature or a background.
Right, so this is if you don't find a commander but you find a background, you can use this as your commander and use your background, and vice versa. If you find a commander that wants a background, you don't find a background, this can be your background for the commander, so that you can run with both and up your colors out of the command zone. A lot of this is for the limited environment of this game.
Worked well, because if I
Which
have
we'll
a
talk
creature and
about.
I forgot to draft its background, then its background is this alternate persona, and that's represented by a creature on the battlefield, which I think is interesting. Or my Faceless One is my commander, and I choose the background for its alternate persona. So kind of
Hey everybody, if you're hanging out and you haven't hit subscribe yet, I'd really appreciate it if you did. Also, that like button, can we get that up to 269? We got 500 people watching right now. I think 269 is very possible today.
Definitely is. All right, let's go lightning round, because we've got a bunch more legends to get through. I kid you not, people at home watching this, we have so many cards to preview. Brandy, who is Baba Lysaga?
Oh, Baba Lysaga is amazing. So she's kind of our universe's equivalent of Baba Yaga, the witch from myth, and she's associated with the Fae and kind of like living in swamps. I think she shows up in Curse of Strahd, which is one of our darker kind of horror-inspired adventure paths. So that's where she kind of comes from. She's really cool.
3 or more card
types. She's also
types.
responsible for training a young Tasha, who might have been mentioned in the first set, along with her hideous laughter.
This seems
Corey, how does this card make
pretty
it into
fun.
Magic?
Yeah, so I love the Bop of the Saga concepts. You know, I play a fair amount of D&D in my time, and we definitely faced off against this. And this kind of concept is more or less top-down, which, you know, the idea of sacrificing permanents of different types is kind of my idea of like throwing different ingredients in a cauldron, a witch's cauldron, to get a gnarly output. And so that's kind of where this card is going.
All right. Next up, Raphael, Fiendish Savior. Who is this, Brandy?
Raphael is another reference to Baldur's Gate 3.
Here we go.
The mysterious
Demon, devil,
benefactor who
imp,
is
tiefling, tribal.
responsible
Let's
for,
go.
Asterian's affliction.
Let's
we'll
go.
say. It's a little bit of a story beat that kind of winds out a little
Demon,
bit later. I
devil,
won't
imp,
get
and
too far
tiefling.
into
Demon,
spoiling it,
devil,
but,
imp, and tiefling.
He is a noble that resides within Baldur's Gate, and he is
Streamer
a
does not
fiendish in
recommend.
nature, so.
Chill.
All right. Next up is Gorian, Wise Mentor. Who is Gorian?
So I will correct you. Gorian.
Gorian.
Adventure
Gorian,
spell
yes.
tribal.
So Gorian is your
What are the good
benefactor
adventure
in the
spells?
very first Baldur's Gate game. He is the one who found you as an orphan. So the character that you make is raised by Gorian in a place called Candlekeep, which is very close to Baldur's Gate. It's just like, I think it's 40 miles south or something like that on the coast. So Gorian was a sort of a powerful sage
Who's got lucky clover foils? Who's got foils of lucky clover?
Very knowledgeable, took you to a place of knowledge, helped raise you, and then sadly passes away, saving you as you start off on your adventure.
Go check your Throne of Eldraine
so,
bulk.
Corey,
Yes.
how does that translate into adventures? Yeah.
Right, so Gorion, whose name I have definitely been pronouncing correctly this whole time, this is an Adventure Matters commander. So Adventure is
Sorted by
returning
price.
for this set because it feels very D&D. And
Green.
So the idea here is that
Beanstalk Giants,
Baldur's Gate
okay.
games,
Brazen
Gorion is
Borrowers,
your mentor,
top
and
as
he's
far
kind
as
of
price.
Like kicks you off on your whole
20
quest
bucks,
in general.
15
And so
bucks
we
for the
thought,
cheapest copy.
he kind
That'll
of
go up.
pushes you off into your adventure. It'd be
Giant
really
Killer
fun to
probably
have,
goes
this is
up,
Gorion.
but it's not. It's
He
trash.
helps you adventure. Like,
This card
he
ain't
has
going
told
up.
you to go
Check your
adventuring,
foils
or
for
he is
that.
the impetus for all of your adventuring, and so that's the direction we took with him.
Interesting.
All right, next up we have
Interesting.
Mazzy, True Sword Paladin. Who is Mazzy, Brandy?
So Mazzy isn't a specific lore character that I'm aware of, but she's a halfling and a knight, and that's actually a really great kind of, in D&D terms, she'd probably be a paladin, probably a Lightfoot halfling if I had to imagine. And that's actually a really great pairing. Halflings are known
Yeah,
for
Murder
their
Strider's
bravery,
solid, but I was looking for commander color or
and kind of their charismatic
adventure
nature,
spells
so
that
they
were in
make
the
pretty good
colors of that
paladins.
Bant commander.
All right, Court, was this one made up for this
creature
set?
attacks plus two gains
So
trample.
this was not made up. There are many legendary
And enchanted
creatures
creature
here that are
attacks.
going to be callbacks to old companions from the original Baldur's Gate games. I
Isn't
spent
bad.
a lot
Maybe
of
I just
time-
never found her.
Well, there's a lot of companions. There's a lot of games. There's a lot of content.
Yeah,
there's
Clay,
some
I gotta
DLC
see if I
as
got any
well.
foil ones.
And so Mazzy is just some fun little halfling paladin that we really liked, and we decided to build a card that was centered around auras. So there's a handful of auras in this set to work well with, and we thought auras kind of resonated with the paladin archetype pretty well.
All right, you stumped Brandy. I didn't think that was possible.
Did.
All right, next up is Gale, Waterdeep
Right, yeah,
Prodigy.
exactly,
Who
Bobby.
is Gale, Brandy?
Gale is another companion that shows up in Baldur's Gate 3. He is a wizard companion who you stumble onto right away. He was, I believe, also on the ship with you. Kind of stumbles out of it.
Yo.
And he's got an interesting affliction as well. He has a compulsion to eat magic items. And something very bad will happen if he doesn't eat magic
I
items.
think-
So you kind of have to keep him fed.
that this is good.
All right, Corey.
Whenever you cast a sorcery, recast your.
I'll
I
keep
think
the
that this
spoilers
is
light.
good.
So we mostly, looked at Gale as Hotshot Wizard Man from Baldur's Gate 3.
This is the kind of
and
spell that
hotshot he
CEDH is going to
very
go,
good at casting
can I
some
break
sorceries,
this?
Very wizardy.
What's
We
the
worked tinkering with
best
designs
CEDH
that,
background, can I break
references,
Gale?
Affliction and, his eventual consequences.
That
from
art
that,
on the
but
left
we kind
is
of ended up on
super
something that
dope.
was a
I would
little
love to
less,
see the high res of that.
explosive.
All right. Next character is one Brandy mentioned earlier, Asterion the Decadent. Who is this?
Asterion the Decadent. So he is another companion for Baldur's Gate 3. His affliction, as you might be fairly obvious from the card, is he's a vampire.
Fun, but 6 mana is a lot.
An individual who's kind of been operating in that
Chicken,
place
thank you.
between being
We've seen some
rising to
backgrounds,
nobility,
Hayden, but not
hasn't
really
quite
like
made it
that
there
killer
yet. And so
one
he's
yet.
kind of under the thumb.
So far,
of
it's like
Raphael.
they gain menace when they
And
attack.
He's not super happy
That's not
about
what we
it.
want.
He's an awesome rogue in the party. I know he's very popular as a companion and super powerful to have in your group.
All right, Corey.
Yeah, well, and again, another Baldur's Gate 3 companion. We really tried to get as much as we could into the sets. Classic vampire.
Yeah,
but maybe
I
doesn't
knew
wanna
that
be a
foil
vampire
lucky
character.
clovers were going to start flying.
AFR, the first D&D set, had a lot of these kind of choose one spells that had kind of these fun spells that had kind of these flavorful choices. And with Asterion, we thought we'd go a similar direction where we kind of amplified his struggle as an afflicted vampire. Which is, do I choose to eat these people or become friends with them?
Next up, we've got Dinah here, Invoker Adept. Brandy, who's Dinah here?
So Dinah here, if I remember correctly, was the companion that you have to go save in Baldur's Gate 1 with Minsk specifically. So I believe Minsk is sworn to protect Dinah here. And so she is, a powerful sorceress wizard represented here.
Activate an ability this turn by
that
spending
is
4 more
under
mana to
Minsk's
activate it.
Observation and guardianship in a way.
All right, Corey.
Okay.
Great. Yeah, Tinny here is
Hang on.
Minsk's friend. We're big Minsk fans in this company.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, also Boo fans, don't want to leave out the star of the show. Dinny here, so in Magic specifically, there was an old cycle of cards called Invokers, which were these cards with large activated abilities that cost a ton of mana. And so Dinny here, class-wise, in the video games, is referred to as an Invoker, and I don't know, we kind of just ran with that, and we made Dinny here the Invoker care
First,
about
I'm looking up
big activated
X
abilities.
spells
There's
or
also
X
a cycle of
activations. This isn't a
Invokers
perfect
in
search,
this set,
but
as well as you may have seen a few of them earlier when we were looking at some of those monocolor cards.
Yep, absolutely. All right, our final legendary character that we're going to meet, final-ish, is another god, Baal, the Lord of Murder, Brandy?
So I think it's Baal.
Baal, okay.
It might be Baal. There are legitimately two gods. One is Baal and one is Bhaal.
That's not confusing at all.
Mixed up a lot. No, not at all. Different universes colliding and whatnot. But you'll definitely recognize the iconography of Baal if you've played the Baldur's Gate games, because it's literally the logo. That skull with those blood drops around it is the iconography of Baal. And Lord of Murder is also kind of he's a very key figure in the Baldur's Gate games, because a lot of the events that are happening are all part of his.
so somebody answer this for me.
He was a dead
Does the
god.
goad
He's
stay?
coming back. Some of the things that happen
Or is
in those
goad
games,
by
I mean, I can
default
probably spoil a
ruled to
20-year-old
just say
at this
until
point,
end of
but-
turn?
I think you're fine.
Yes.
I think you're fine, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm fine. But he has multiple god children out in the world. Baal spawn is what they're called, and your character in Baldur's Gate 1 is actually one of them. So it's
End of turn.
sort of the mystery that
Its
unravels.
default rules
and
is
winds
end
up
of
by the
turn.
end of it.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, Corey, that's a lot. How does it translate to this card?
Right. Baal, which is another name I definitely have been pronouncing the correct way, is huge antagonist in the Baldur's Gate story. And almost every Baldur's Gate story, Baal is
Yeah, I don't know
behind
this.
the
I don't know
scenes.
about
He
this
is
card.
Obviously the second of the 3 dead gods that we see here. As Brandy referenced,
This is the
there's
kind
a
of
bunch
card to probably be
Veilspawn
fun
running
once you
around,
started
which
building
are
it, but
kind
off the rip, it just doesn't
of
excite me.
children in some sense, or
Most commanders, though, I
reincarnations, or
find once I
some
actually start
confusing
building them, I'm
version of
enjoying
that.
it. But
And Bale's whole plan is
this
that they
wouldn't be
all
one that
fight
off the
each
rip I
other
have a
and
lot of
kill
good
each
ideas
other,
for,
and
other than the
then they will
obvious.
release his essence, and then he will come back from the dead.
Sacrifice
So
your
Bale just really
reassembling
wants to incite
skeleton.
a lot of violence,
Sacrifice
a lot of
your
murder.
reassembling
So here he is
skeleton,
building
get
things
it
to
back.
try to incite
Target
violence
a
and
creature,
murder.
+1/+1 counter,
You know,
goat
Lord
it.
of Murder, you can't go without any violence, I think. He also has this indestructible line that we saw on Merkle, as well as kind of a through line for an expression of being a dead god.
All right. We've talked about a lot of legends so far, but we've only seen a couple backgrounds, so I thought we'd leave you with a couple backgrounds that some of these characters could have. For example, they could be raised by giants. That's a thing that could happen.
Commander
I
creatures
want to
you own
also
have base
point out
power
here, we only
toughness
saw it
10/10
on one of the backgrounds we
mana?
showed earlier, but they all have this sort of
I
same
don't know.
flavor text written in the second person. So this one, your parents taught you that strength can be nurtured and owned no matter one's size. And then another background we can look at is Cultist of the Absolute. You embrace power at any cost, and if it consumes you, so
This is
be
what I'm
it.
talking about right here.
Is the cult
like
of the
this one.
Absolute, Brandy? Is that a D&D cult?
Sack a creature, that does
yeah,
not
so
say
this
sack a
actually, this
non-token
also comes up in
creature.
Baldur's Gate 3. The Cult of the Absolute. It's still a little bit mysterious as to what exactly it is, but we know it's related to mind
Yeah, so far it's
flayers
been a
in
little
some way,
underwhelming. This is
and
kind of what
there's
leaks
some
can do,
kind
y'all.
of
Is make it a little underwhelming
infliction
when
that
we
you
get to
have at
this
the start
part.
of the
Let's
game
see
that is
though.
giving
Hopefully by you
these
find some
whispers of,
treasure.
"Hey, accept this
That's where
power,
they're
you'll
saving the
get
heavy
things
hits
out
for
of it."
this
And it's very
reveal
much
stream.
like tempting you to go down this.
I'm licking the
probably
boot a
not
little
so
bit
light
right
path.
now. Let's just get to the end
Yeah,
and then
Corey, it looks like
we
this
can
is a
shit
bit of a
all over
blessing
it.
and a curse.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of power to be had in the Cult of the Absolute, but that kind of power comes at a cost, and at the risk of spoiling anything, I'll keep it at that.
All right. The last, we'll call them group of legends that I want to show off. We're not going to spend a ton of time digesting, but the Commander
this card
face
is good.
cards.
That
so
card
we're
was
going to be
good.
doing previews all this week and
Horror
next week
Tribal
for
on
the
the
main
left.
set, but there are 4 Commander
Party
decks
Tribal on the right.
that will be
Dragons in the
shared
middle
on
right.
the 30th and 31st. These are the commanders helming those decks, so you can kind of get an idea
And
of
a
what's
Gruul
going
commander
on.
that
We've got
has
a
to
horror
do with
pirate
impulse draw.
that mills. We've got a human druid that creates wolves when you play cards from exile. We've got a dragon that goads, and we've got a sort of party captain. Call it party captain. Yeah, party captain.
Party captain.
All right. Let's move on to you encounter a monster. Of course.
Wait, we're moving on from these
This
already?
is the Dungeons and Dragons
Chill.
set. There have to be monsters. And we're going to start by looking at a card that isn't a monster in and of itself, but definitely evokes one. You look upon the Tarrasque. So we've met the Tarrasque before in Magic. But Brandy, can you give us a little background here?
Ah, the Tarrasque. The Tarrasque is like, I don't know that you would call him a meme so much as that it is a creature of lore. There is the Tarrasque. There is a single Tarrasque. No one has defeated the Tarrasque. It is forever, and there is facing the Tarrasque pretty much means certain death. It's the kind of thing that only the highest level of parties ever even dare to dream taking upon.
Hey everybody, that's right.
that
Jake
kind of
just hit us
adventure.
with a fun fact.
There's
We have a
it's actually a
preview
really
for
fun
this
item hidden
set.
in, I
We have a
believe
preview
it's,
card.
The Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden book. That is a scroll. That
May
summons the
24th is
the
when our
Tarrasque.
preview
It
card
doesn't
is
put the Tarrasque
revealed,
under
so
your
make
control,
sure
but
you're
it summons the
subscribed and be
Tarrasque.
looking out for our
So,
preview card.
Use wisely.
So Corey, we met the Tarrasque in Adventures of the Forgotten Realm. How did this card end up in the set?
Yeah, so far I'm
Yeah,
thoroughly
so,
whelmed.
a lot
I'm
about
very
making
whelmed by this
some
set so
top-down
far.
D&D
Thank you, DJ.
cards
Appreciate
is
that.
Thinking about
Hayden,
not
appreciate
just, what is in the material
Chicken Rich Ed.
of the D&D adventures,
Appreciate y'all.
but also what is in kind of the folklore of how people remember their funniest
Thank you,
moments
JK.
in Dungeons and
Yeah,
Dragons. And
yeah,
certainly
yeah, Boner
encounters
King.
with the
This is a
Tarrasque
whelming
is this
wave.
kind of chilling,
A very
funny,
whelming wave. I'm very whelmed.
Scary moment that can happen in your game.
Donald's
so funny
angry.
that
You're
you
living
need a
up to your
scroll that
username, pal.
summons one, which is ludicrous. So we thought
Chill.
it was a hilarious kind of shared experience among many groups of D&D players to make a card like this, and kind of these choose
Thank you,
your own
pause.
adventure cards, which is kind of what we call this.
Nathan, you can
little
scrub
card
back when it's over.
written like a DM is telling you what to do or what is going on. We wanted to make a few more of these. We really enjoy the gameplay and the flavor of these. So this was trying to bring that folklore level D&D shared experience.
I am whelmed. I am whelmed.
Right.
I am thoroughly
next
whelmed.
up is not so much a monster.
We got some
but
cool stuff coming. There's gotta
certainly
be.
a creature
You find some
that
treasure. That's
you
going to be the
wouldn't wanna
medallions.
face
At least
in
we'll get a
battle.
cool
The
reprint.
Battle Angels of Tyr.
Here's a mythic.
The borderless art there is some of my favorite art.
Myriad's a good
but
keyword.
Brandy, who are the Battle Angels of Tyr?
So Tyr himself is a deity within the Forgotten Realms, and Tyr is kind of your penultimate angel / knight / god of righteousness sort of representation. So
This card is good, but it needs to connect.
any kind
Myriad,
of
however,
celestial
helps with
being
that.
or deity like
Myriad
that
means when it
has
attacks, you're going to create a
celestial
token
servants. And so the Battle Angels
attacking
of
the
Tyr are
players you
exactly that.
didn't
These
attack.
are
Every player
his
you didn't
hands
attack.
of justice, who, when he needs
So
something
at the very
done
least,
in the material world,
you're gonna
or
get-
to go and fight against the
you get a shot
maybe
at
the
getting through
incursions
on
from
everybody.
Avernus of the devils and demons
Yeah,
pouring
flying
out of
helps,
there to
for
come into
sure.
Baldur's Gate. This is who we would send to clean up the mess.
Corey, this card looks incredibly powerful. First of all, it's a white card. It says draw card.
Needs trample.
Commander community claps. So tell us a bit about this card.
Right, so Battle Angels of Tyr.
Yeah, I think that this
you'll
one's
notice,
got
this
legs,
is
and I
the
think
first
this will
time
be
we-
more powerful than people give it credit
today
for,
we're going
but
to talk about Myriad. So this has Myriad. This is an older commander mechanic.
Still wish it had
this means that
trample.
when this creature attacks, for each other opponent, it creates a copy of itself attacking those opponents. So this kind of attacks everyone at once. The ability here is kind of playing.
Yeah, we're
fair,
gonna recap all
you're
this
hitting,
info after we're done
hopefully,
here.
All of your opponents, and then
There's a
someone
lot
has
to go
more
through.
lands, You're gonna make.
We're gonna
something
hit
that
the
makes mana. If
highlights.
someone has more life than you get to have some life. If someone has more cards than you, you're going to get a card. So it's kind of catching you up, and in any way you're down, it's playing fair, it's playing justice.
Hey, real
And
quick,
it's
those
hitting
four
everyone.
faces,
Myriad,
those four face
I
commanders
like-
that we saw for like
I
a
think it's
half
very
a
fun
second,
commander
those were the
mechanic.
pre-con
It scales
commanders, right?
Aggressive strategies pretty well, and so this is definitely not the last.
Oh, lots of
Myriad
ways to give them
card.
give the
You'll
tokens
see.
trample fail out. Give
Yeah.
all of them trample for that
For
matter.
our next card, I'm going to flip the script a little bit.
Yeah, Adam.
Because this set, well,
Yes,
we've been
thank you,
focusing
everybody.
heavily on D&D characters that have come to Magic. There are some reprints in this set. So we're going to flip this a little bit. And we've got Bramble Sovereign, which is an excellent multiplayer card, and also that gorgeous borderless art there. So, Corey, this is a reprint from Magic. Tell us how this card ended up in the set.
Right, so Bramble Sovereign is a pretty sweet green card. It's originally printed in Battle Bond, which was a two-headed giant set. So in that set, there was a bunch of cards that cared about when other players did things and kind of gave them the opportunity to help other players because you would want to
$20
help your
card,
teammates
$40
with two-headed
foil.
giants a lot. Well, it turns out that translates
card's gonna
to
go down in
Commander
price.
in a pretty interesting way. So Bramble Sovereign, you can pay mana to make a token of your creature. But did you know that if someone else plays something and you're friends with them,
It's
you
been
can
holding
pay
pretty
mana
steady,
to double
if not
their
dropping in
thing
price.
as well for them. So this is a political set. There's some political stuff going on, and this is a way that you can kind of tip the scales.
It's a great card. It's a good
of,
reprint.
Your opponent's battles.
I just don't think this become. I mean, maybe $10 card.
All right, Brandy, so this originated in Magic,
That
but
version
if
on the
this
right's gonna
came
be
to
more.
D&D, what would it look like?
Oh, well, dryads are definitely a creature or
Yeah,
race
Foster,
that you
that's
could
where I'm at.
encounter, especially in the forest.
Yeah,
or in
Francis, I don't think it'll
Feywild.
go down to 3.
There is
5 absolute floor. It's a mythic.
woods very
That's a
close
good
by to Baldur's
mythic.
Gate. I believe it's called the Cloakwood. You might run into a dryad there, and
This is the
honestly,
first
even the
reprint of this
mechanic
card.
here,
This was
I think,
originally
speaks to
printed in
dryads really
Battle
well,
Bond.
because very often they'll have ownership of a place where if you as an adventurer are kind to them, they'll give you a boon in some way. But if you're not kind to them, well, then they're probably going to play some tricks on you, or maybe even worse things if you're really mean to them.
All right, let's look at our next monster. So we've
it's
talked
definitely a
about
scarcity card
adventure.
right
We showed, I think, a couple adventure cards in the commons that we were looking at earlier, but this will be the first rare adventure card we've seen, which is Illithid Harvester.
So a little frost touch on the
Brandy,
left.
What is an Illithid Harvester?
Oh, I love this art because it's delightfully
wow.
terrifying if you understand
When
the
it
context of it. 'Cause
ETBs,
you'll see
you can
there's this
turn their
little,
tapped
little
creatures.
gross bug
Oh,
thingy
wow.
he's holding in his hand, and if you've seen the Baldur's Gate 3 or
This is a
opening
nice trick
cinematic
for blue
or
in
the
general. You
trailer
get a
that they
4/4
released,
left
you'll know
over, and then
exactly
for
what
5
it's for,
mana,
and it's awful.
it's a pseudo board wipe
So
of all tapped
Illithids,
creatures.
Procreate
This is a
by
nice little trick.
infecting others with these little creatures and put you under a disease that's called seramorphosis. And that means you slowly shed your skin and become an illithid over time. So that's most likely what this one's up to, is he is harvesting this poor elf
Yeah,
to become one
exactly.
of his kind.
It is like Ixodron.
That is disgusting. All right,
It's a cool
Corey,
trick.
tell us how that turned into this card.
Well, it's pretty direct. You know, you're gonna cast his adventure. You're gonna tap down a bunch of your opponent's creatures, and this will go on an adventure. And so next turn, while your opponent's creatures are still tapped, this comes in, and you can turn any number of tapped creatures into 2/2 horrors. So this is pretty directly. I'm going to, disable a bunch of creatures and then turn them into mind flayers, because that is exactly what the illithids do, and it is the most terrifying part of Act 1 of Baldur's Gate 3 possible.
Yup.
All right, so we've encountered some monsters.
Yeah, Jank,
we
that's
need
what
a
I'm
little
thinking.
break. Let's look at Jaheira's respite. So this one is a fog. It searches for some lands.
Whoa!
First of all, this is named after
Hang
a character.
on.
Who is
A fog that
Jaheira?
searches up a lot of lands. Hang on.
So Jaheira is another companion from Baldur's Gate 1 and 2.
This timed
she is one of
correctly
the
could
first
be
people that
backbreaking.
Gorion leaves a note to you to go find, because her and her companion
Hang
Khalid
on.
will take care of you. So they're two
I
of the
like
first
this.
companions you
I
can
like
kind
this a
of go
lot.
and go on an adventure to go recruit. She's a
If you
druid,
haven't played
so
in our
she's
Commander
really
League,
appropriate
you
for
should
her.
check it out. Play Commander from the comfort of your home over Spelltable via Discord, via our Patreon. It's got price support. It's pretty cool. We change up the format every month. It's a budget sort of proxy-friendly league. We've seen a lot of fog effects absolutely swap games, just backbreak the opponent, and then that person who casts the fog turns out to win. So fog effects timed correctly can be huge.
In some way. So
Thank you,
this
Tom.
is gonna
I
be a
appreciate
fog
that. If
also
you
ramps
want
you
to,
a
if you're
bunch
interested
for
in
how
the
all
league,
out your opponent
Nightbot
wins.
just
So
dropped a little
much
bit of
like
text
Ink
there
Shield
in the chat.
or,
Check that out.
other, fogs that might scale and attacking
This
stuff.
is
this will help you ramp up to cast
very
bigger stuff,
interesting.
after telling your opponent just to chill out for a little bit.
It won't be an expensive card, but this is a card that I
right,
think
well,
people will sleep on, and
Once
they
you've
should not.
encountered a monster, if you come out on the other end, of course, it's Dungeons and Dragons, you're going to find some treasure.
No, it's
So we're
not
gonna
Ink
look
Shield
at some of
powerful, but the fact you brought
trinkets.
up Ink Shield is exactly what I'm talking about. Ink Shield is wildly powerful, and I've seen it turn games
as
fully.
well as a land. We're going to pair these next to. We snuck the land in there because it makes sense, trust me. But let's look at the first treasure we encounter, which is Arcane Signet. And of course,
We're gonna drive
this is
this
a
price into the
Commander
ground,
classic,
huh?
Corey.
Yeah, I mean, classic Commander staple mana rock does the thing it's supposed to do. I don't know exactly what
Oh,
D&D
this
Magic
price
items
has
this
already
is
been
trying to
driven down in
represent.
the dirt.
But I know we did try to represent D&D Magic items.
I do know that there's all kinds of
That's a pretty cool
fun,
art of it.
powerful rings that you can find in D&D.
Yeah.
Ring slot
Yeah,
is
it
a
was
very
10 or
kind
15 because of
traditional
scarcity, and everybody
RPG
needed one.
slot to fill. Arcane, I actually think there might legitimately be an item called Arcane Signet, at which point it's usually meant for wizards to help them like cast an extra spell. So
I'm hoping this is
even the like
a misdirect
Arcane
into
Signet has
what
been
is going to
around
be
for
a
quite
huge
while
thing
in
right here.
Magic. But it's honestly it represents what an Arcane Signet might do in D&D pretty well too.
All right, and next up, not treasure, but it just goes with the Arcane Signet. Command Tower, fixing your mana.
This land
Corey,
seems
tell
really
us-
strong, y'all.
It's
A
pretty
mana of
obvious why this
any
card's in
color
set,
in
but
your
why don't you
commander's
lay it
color
on us?
identity?
Wow. Have you ever heard of this format called
My
Commander
analysis
Blade?
of this
I
card is that
have.
it's strong. Most
So in
commander decks are
your
going to
commanders
want
have
this.
color identities, and this land taps for its mana. So it's just classic commander
26
mana,
more likes, and we're at
classic mana
269
fixing.
likes. Let's
Always funny to me
go.
that this common land is stronger than
Hit that
every
like
other
button if you
rare land in the
haven't.
set. But here it is. It hangs out just like Commander Legends. We have a sweet Baldur's Gate themed command tower art.
Yeah, it looks like it's
Yeah.
referencing Durlag's Tower, Brandy.
Yes. Yeah, that's a location in Baldur's Gate 1 that is exactly as that flavor text describes it. It is full of treasure.
Yeah, Bobby,
and
that's
it
a
is
good
full of
point. I
devious
don't
traps,
really.
really
I mean,
dangerous
Evolving Wilds
things.
goes
I
and
think it
gets
was
you an
the
actual land that actually taps for the
totally
mana, so
but,
I'm pretty sure
yeah,
that it's not as good as Evolving Wilds, but I really do like it. I think a lot of commander decks are going to want this card.
Every actual location in Baldur's Gate.
That's probably true.
Well, maybe when you're in that tower, you would find some of this treasure. Returning in this set are the diamonds, which were printed for the first time a long time ago in Magic, but make their return here. Corey, how'd the diamonds end up in the set?
Yeah, I've always been a fan of these mana rocks. They were also pretty staple to the draft format of Commander Legends 1. What's really important about the diamonds for the draft is, a lot of these
This art is
artifacts, we
cool.
think a lot about their
Let's
color
talk about that.
identity,
The art is
what
cool
decks
on these
that you
diamonds.
go
In foil,
into.
these will look dope.
And there's a reason these are diamonds.
In
that
foil,
are
these
one
will be
color
like
and not
$2.
Signets that might be two colors. So these can fit in monocolor decks, but also
Maybe
if I
we
draft
do
a
get the
Sky Diamond,
medallions.
it doesn't mean I have to
Maybe they
make
want to
blue
make
white,
sure that
it
you
just
can
needs
fix
to be
mana
blue and
real
red.
well in this format.
As opposed to it being a colorless card or a colorless identity or being
Come on.
color identity. And so these kind of just fit really well as
Come
little
on.
mana rocks that float to the right players.
It's got to
that
be
need them.
medallions, y'all. They wouldn't have a section
were
called
a
"You Find Some
great,
Treasure" to show us Arcane
great
Signet and
resonance
Moss
thing to
and
just
Moss
represent
Diamond, right?
Random pieces of treasure. You're always picking up gems and whatever in D&D.
Moss
so
Diamond. I'm very excited about a mana rock in
Your
my
gems
green
and
deck.
whatever. Is that accurate, Brandy?
Honestly, something I'd like to call out here that I think is really cool D&D flavor is that each of these gems reference a different deity in the Forgotten Realms. So in their flavor text. So like Kelemvor is the Lord of the Dead. So it totally makes sense that the charcoal diamond is in his realm. And Moradin is like the patron saint of dwarves.
Come on.
So red being
Come
red
on.
makes a ton of sense.
Show us the
Lathander is the morning
medallions.
lord and the god of dawns and morning. So
Thank
like,
you for
all
getting
of
us
these
over
have been very
269
well
likes.
themed to represent deities.
Can
that
we get to
kinda have
369?
portfolios
I don't think it's
based around the
possible.
colors
We're at
that,
282.
that are
Let's see if we can get that to
represented
369 likes.
And these are also pretty special in the set. So of course we have the rulebook frames. These are gorgeous.
Why is the background not the color of
Not
the
much
thing?
to say about them. Just
They
stare
look
at how
great,
They're just
but the
pretty.
gray
They're just
background is
Yep.
not what I want.
And of course,
here.
all of these come in foil, which I know are going to be popular with Commander players. All right, so we have two final cards to talk about, both artifacts. One's a Mythic.
Here we
Brandy,
go.
what the heck is a Nautiloid ship?
Oh.
Okay, so
What?
this is actually super relevant in D&D right
Here
now
we
because
go.
we just announced Spelljammer, and that's where Nautiloid ships come from. So Nautiloid ships are basically spaceships piloted by illithids, and if that sentence doesn't terrify you, it should. So illithids, just like the
Yeah,
Gith,
it's strong.
also come from the astral sea and come from
It's strong, but
off-world. They are otherworldly creatures, and so they use Nautiloid ships to travel.
man, he showed me
from
some mana
world
rocks
to
and said the
world
next artifact we have
to
is Mythic.
Spread their seramorphosis, or to
Dun,
just
dun,
feast on the brains of
da-da.
unsuspecting individuals, because that's just sort of what they do. So Nautiloid ships are exactly that. They are somewhat organic, fleshy spaceships piloted by illithids.
Don't say fleshy.
and They are.
Don't
are
say
terrifying.
fleshy to me.
All right, and Corey, how do you translate all of that into this magic card we see in front of us?
Right. Nautiloid ships, astral sea, spaceships, yes. But what I see is the opening scene to Baldur's Gate 3. A very, very relevant place is this Nautiloid ship, which is full of prisoners who are hoped to become illithids by the illithid kind. So, there's a bunch of people in here that are infected and going to succumb to the illithid armies or such and such. And so this card exiles a player's graveyard, and then as you deal damage with it, you're going to
Re-leak
get
day.
those cards back under your control. So you are getting your stock of warm bodies, and you're getting them on your battlefield like the illithids do.
Very cool. All right, last card, certainly not least, Robe of the Archmagi. We've got an equipment that works especially well for shamans, warlocks, and wizards. So what is
right,
this in D&D, Brandy?
Probably,
So this
probably
is a very
some big hype card at the
powerful
end.
kind of artifact level, and we have artifacts in D&D as well, but it typically means it typically means for us
Right.
an extremely rare magical item. And that's exactly what
Right.
the Robe of the Archmagi is. It is something that is very rare. It's coveted by arcane spellcasters because it's like the signifier of I've made it as a wizard. I am the Gandalf of my world. I've got my Robe of the Archmagi. I've made it. And it just augments everything that you do as a spellcaster.
All right, Corey.
Yeah, so in Dungeons and Dragons, I believe this is only
So,
attainable by
they
sorcerers,
went
warlocks,
super heavy on the
wizards
D&D
specifically.
references.
So shaman is our sorcerer surrogate in Magic the Gathering. We refer to them as
I'm sure a
shamans, and
D&D,
so that's kind of where this
an
equipment
MTG
ability
creator
comes
that's got a
from.
D&D
It's
slant
only
is
usable by
like
those
super
arcane
hyped on
classes,
this.
and if
Us
you can connect
sitting
with
here
one of
looking
these
at it
three
just
wizardly
through the
types,
lens
it's
of
gonna draw
Commander,
you as many cards as
this
strong
was
as
a
your
whelming
creatures.
reveal. Maybe we get some
cool.
killer card here at the end.
All right, that is it. We ran through those real fast. I'm real proud of you, Corey and Brandy. We did all that in an hour. So many cards. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Today is the first day of previews. Previews are going to be running for Commander Legends Battles of Baldur's Gate all this week and next week. This week is going to
Tune in on the 24th to find out what card we're revealing. 25th. Either the 24th or the 25th. It'll be a video.
building around those characters. And then if you're interested in the pre-constructed Commander decks, those will be revealed on the 30th and 31st, the week before pre-release.
Yo, well, I've still got everybody. Thank you for hanging out. If this is your first time watching a Jake or Joel video, normally there are two of us. I'm just one half of the partnership. That is Jake and Joel are Magic. If you liked our stuff, hit that subscribe button so it pops up in your feed. We'd greatly appreciate it. We cover MTG Finance mostly. We look at almost everything through the lens of Commander. We run a Commander League through our Patreon, through our Discord. If you want to get involved with that, go check out our Patreon. Any level gains you access to that league. It's a month-over-month league, restarts every month, sort of the rule set that we build decks under. It's a real fun time. People are really loving it. Proxy friendly, play over spell table, win some prizes. That is my pitch for that. Appreciate everybody watching. What we're going to do now is sort of go back through and recap a bunch of stuff. I specifically want to talk about backgrounds, and I want to talk about the Commander Precon face cards that we didn't really get to see for too long. So that's what we're going to look at right now. I appreciate everybody hanging out for the reveal. If you're bailing, I get it. If you're not bailing, I appreciate you. Let's go down off of this and go to Twitter. Let's see what we've got. All right. Hit me with topics y'all want to cover, by the way, while we are going through this. We saw Command Tower. Y'all excited about that? Whee! All right. Let's look at backgrounds. Yeah, we're going to get a slower look at the face commanders too. There's so much. There's just so much. Is any of this on Scryfall yet? No. Of course not. Favorite card from the reveal? I don't know. We went through that kind of fast, and like I said, it was all very whelming. I think that this set's going to need some more exploration, because some of these commanders might end up better than the Commander Legends commanders, but some of them might not. Oh, we had Sheldon's preview as well. John Arenicus, Shattered One. Beginning of your in-step, target opponent gains control of up to one target creature you control. Put 2+1/+1 counters on it and tap it. It's goaded for the rest of the game and gains. This creature can't be sacrificed. Whenever a creature you own but don't attack, when you own but don't control attacks, you draw a card. God, they're really making goad a thing, huh? Wow. That seems like a cool commander, though. All right, y'all, 2 seconds. This energy drink went right through me. I need 2 seconds to go bio real fast. I'm trying to look for the face commanders so we can look at those. Oh, this was one of them, right? Yeah, this was one. I'll be right back. All right. Yeah, is the Lucky Clover buyout in progress? I figured the Lucky Clover buyout is in progress already. Okay, so we got to see, we got our very first look. We got our very first look at the face cards from the Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate Commander decks. So we should definitely go through these and do a quick take on how we're building them. What are some of the cards that are going to be included in this? Maybe that you want to pick up before they start shooting up in price. So Captain Ingathrod, 1 black, 1 blue, 3 other for a 3/6 horror pirate. Says horrors you control have menace. Whenever a horror you control deals combat damage to a player, that player mills that many cards. That many, so according to how much damage they do. At the beginning of your end step, choose target artifact or creature in an opponent's graveyard that was put there from their library this turn. Put it onto the battlefield under your control. So you're not only milling their library, but you're getting a free thing, a free artifact or creature that was milled. And then horrors you control have menace. Let's see what we got as far as horrors that already exist. Chupacabra, Woe Strider. Does this make horrors? No. Hullbreaker, obviously. Little crick action going. Looking for unblockable stuff. Grazilax, Illithid Scholar. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, for sure. You don't need to, you don't have to have the first piece happen. The back piece, the back end of this, at the beginning of your end step, it's automatically going to be happening. So it's automatically giving your horrors a little bit of avoidance with menace. Not a lot of other avoidance on these horrors here. But I will say the new card, where's that blue card? Didn't that turn this thing here? Look at this. When it enters the battlefield, turn any number of target tapped non-token creatures face down. They're 2/2 horror creatures. So weird little backdoor play. If you can make a lot of tokens on your side and after you attack with them, that's kind of a weird play. I don't think that that'll work. Pretty cool horror tribal play though. Especially like if you can get every creature type. So we get something like Maskwood Nexus. And you're in blue, so you can reliably search up your Maskwood Nexus, either with black tutor or with blue artifact tutor. And then you just run a bunch of stuff that can't be blocked. There's your wombo right there. You're going crazy with it. Scryfall's taking a minute because they're starting to upload some of these cards. That's a weird little win con there. And then just mill in general. This is a pretty good mill commander, honestly, because if you just mill a bunch of cards. Oh yeah, Rogue, freezing the opponent's creatures with that other blue spell will help the horrors get through. That's for sure. To mill more cards. But you're getting cards like oh, here we go, can't be blocked. Rogue's Passage is good in this deck for sure. Oh, here we go. Changeling Outcast. All-star in this deck. All-star. Not going up a lot in price, but an absolute all-star for this deck. I love Key to the City in this deck, and Jake would smack me if I didn't mention it. Any deck where unblockable is maybe a mini strategy, this is a huge player. Jake loves this card. Yeah, in general, you know, Whisper Silk Cloak, Aqueous Form, cards like this. Thassa, God of the Sea, is an all-star in this deck. And then you just run the best mill cards. Ooh, Mind Crank. Oh yeah, here we go. Mind Crank in this deck. That's a pretty good play. Mesmeric Orb and Mind Crank in this deck. Yo. Captain Ingathrod definitely likes Mesmeric Orb and Mind Crank. What do y'all think? Any other secret tech for Captain Ingathrod? Pretty interesting commander. Little Millie. Little returnee. Oh yeah, Maskwood. I already said it. Maskwood is huge in this deck. Huge in this deck. Cryptic Command. Oh yeah, that's great in this. Tap all creatures your opponents control. Yup. Absolutely. Yep. That'll be a fun deck to build. It's not my normal type of, it's a fairly narrow deck, right? Like you really want to play Horror Tribal as a sub theme. You really want to play some mill. And so the deck sort of builds itself, and I'm not hating on decks like that. It's cool that it exists, but it does seem pretty straightforward of a build. Could be strong though. 5 mana is a lot, especially in these two colors. Run some mana rocks. Race it out there, start milling, hope to hit some mana rocks, ramp that way. That's not terrible. Not terrible. Let's look at the next one. This of the 4 was the most like, what? To me. Faldorn Dread Wolf Herald. A green, a red, and one other for a 3/3 human druid. Whenever you cast a spell from exile or a land enters the battlefield under your control from exile, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. And then you can pay 1, tap Faldorn, discard a card, exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn. What do we think here? It's another impulse draw commander, or it's an impulse draw commander, I'll say that. So we go, you may play them. Is that the right is that the right? I think that's the right thing. Yeah, here we go. So, whenever you cast a spell from exile or a land enters the battlefield under your control from exile, So obviously you're playing a lot of cards like Harnfell. Discard a card, exile the top 2. You may play those cards this turn. Jessica's Will, obviously. Ignite the Future. If people really liked playing Ignite the Future, I normally end up cutting it. It's a newer card. 2019 to me is newer. Got a reprint in Forgotten Realms. Do people like this card? This is the kind of stuff that you're doing. Using Professional Facebreaker. Whenever the creatures, the wolves you're creating, deal combat damage, you create a treasure token. Then you can sack a creature, exile the top card of your library. You can play it. So that's another wolf. So you're building your line, you're playing cards. This card could get out of hand. And this is whenever. So if you keep your mana curve low and you storm off a little bit in your Gruul colors, which is possible. You got red creatures that make mana as you're casting spells. You got cards like I just did a Secret Commander tech on that give all your wolves the ability to tap for mana. Creatures you control have add green. There's other cards that exist like that as well. So a little impulse draw, create some tokens. Ranger class. Ranger class in this deck. Create a 2/2 wolf. Whenever you attack, put a 1/1 on a creature. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You can cast creature spells from the top of your library. Yeah, it's a good card. It doesn't particularly play with the passive here, which is what we want to do as much as we possibly can. Cast a spell from exile or have a land enter the battlefield from exile. So we've got to be doing this. We got to be doing this impulse draw thing. That's what we got to do. Yeah, God of Storytelling's backside is Harnfell, Horn of Bounty. I think it's probably one of the best cards that does this effect. It's a little expensive, but once you get it down, it can really go bonkers quick. Ooh, Containment Construct plays well with this. Containment Construct plays very well with this. This is going to be a sleeper foil that's going to hold... It's going to seriously hold some value. What's our foil price on these? Still just $2. But you're discarding a card to the ability, exiling the top card you can play at this turn. Boom, you discard a card, you exile that card from your graveyard. If you do, you can play that card this turn. So this is a nice little wombo combo. Yeah, Light Up the Stage, Jaleo is one of the most popular cards that's ever had this ability. It was one of our very first introductions to that. Impulse draw as a way of giving red card advantage. Play a super land heavy deck and then can put a lot of cards like exploration and explore in there. You can play an additional land on each of your turns so that when you are playing your lands, you can get multiple 2/2s in the same turn. That could be pretty good. It's not a bad little wombo there. So yeah, this is just the kind of like value commander that it's gonna be giving you creature tokens as you go. It's gonna be impulse drawing for you to keep you in the game. Wolves. Let's see what... Do we have some good tribal here for wolves? Obviously, Night Pack Ambusher, huge. Other wolves and werewolves you control get +1/+1. And if you didn't cast a spell, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. We're not doing that, hopefully. We're not doing that a lot. If we can ever flip Kessig Naturalist, got a nice little wolf anthem there. What are our other good wolf tribal cards? Wolf. There we go. Dark Ascension, $1. Still hasn't gotten reprinted. We thought maybe this would get reprinted when Midnight Hunt came out. Wolves you control have Death Touch. Here we go. Ren's Run Packmaster. has been reprinted a bunch of times. Got some cool art on Magic Online. You have to champion an elf when you play this, though. Rough. Whenever a wolf or werewolf you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Yes, that card goes in the Faldorn Dreadwolf Herald. This card definitely goes in there. If you control 3 or more wolves or werewolves, becomes night, then transform any number of human werewolves you control. Retains its passive ability and gives +X/+O and trample. No, the commander's not an elf, so you can't champion the commander when that'd be a nice little wombo though. If Ren's Run Packmaster said champion a human or druid instead of champion an elf. Also. Yeah, you got some options there. You got some cool secondary cards. You know, when you run out of cards for your, I don't know, play a lot of lands and your impulse draw, when you run out of picking cards for those, you can go, yeah, and you know what? Past that, we're going Wolf Anthems, baby. We are definitely running some Wolf Anthems. That's Faldorn Dreadwolf Herald. Let's check out, I think this is the one that's got everybody excited here. Furkrag. Cunning Instigator. A red, a blue, and 3 other for a 3/3 flying hasting dragon. Whenever 1 or more dragons you control attack. Wow. Goad target creature that player controls. So you're going to want to send your dragons in multiple directions, because it is whenever 1 or more attack an opponent. So if I'm reading this correctly, you want to send 3 dragons in 3 different directions so that you can go to a creature that each opponent controls. Then whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, if that creature had to attack, you put a +1/+1 counter on Furkrag and you draw a card. This this seems pretty good. Flying, hasting, you get to goad. When your goaded stuff gets through, Furkrag grows, and you draw a card. Lots of good stuff on this. Is it dragons? Let's look at this through the lens of, we are going to play this as the commander. So in Is It Dragons, we've got some good options. All of these are pretty good. Hey, look, this combos well. Artifacts, treasure tokens. This is a nice little combo. Andrew, what's up? Good to see you. You got your Niv Mizzet cards, obviously. We get to play Shimmer Dragon. Shimmer Dragon actually plays really well with this card. As long as you control 4 more artifacts, Shimmer Dragon has hexproof, and tap 2 untapped artifacts you control to draw a card. So it's nice to have a dragon commander. It's going to lean into some more of the colors. Galazeth can go in here. Niv Mizzet can go in here. Kega. Oh, Kega's interesting because it's got a die trigger too. 5 mana. 5 mana is interesting. What's Aether Tunnel? Oh yeah, absolutely. This would actually work for the blue-black deck as well. That could definitely go in here. What other synergies have we got? We got Goad. If that creature had to attack this combat. So it doesn't say if that creature was goaded. What do I need to search for? Here we go. Attack every... Let's just say all creatures attack and see what comes back. What if we got forced combat? What if we got for forced combat? Let's go to edhrec. That's the kind of thing we need to look at here. Here we go. Forced combat. Goldspan Dragon. Yeah, turns out Goldspan Dragon will be good. Let's go to card view. All right, so we're only looking at red and blue. Let's swap to... Nope, doesn't have Izzet up there. Oh, Varchild's interesting. Deals combat damage, creates 1/1 survivors. Can't block, they can't attack you. That's not forcing them to attack, though. So obviously Disrupt Decorum is very good, but it's like a one-off, right? Goat is all good. This is what I'm talking about. Fumiko the Low Blood. That's what we need. Creatures your opponents control attack each combat if able. Booyah. This card definitely goes in the dragon. Because we don't even have to necessarily build this straight up as a dragon tribal. Obviously, that's going to be really good to turn on the first part. But as long as we're forcing creatures to attack, if they get through, Furkrag's growing, Furkrag's drawing us cards. Yep. So Fumiko is exactly what we're looking for. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, we know the red goad stuff. Here we go. Goblin Spymaster. Did somebody say this? I think this is a great card for it, yeah? Yep, Cryptic Command is still good in this card, in this deck. And I've made a couple shorts about it now, but Cryptic Command's at an all-time low to acquire. Oh, yes, dude. Ride of the Raging Storm. This card has become one of my favorite in recent years. Look at that. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player puts a 5/1 with trample haste onto the battlefield. Has to attack. No, it doesn't force it to attack, though. It's still a good card in this deck. It's still a good card in this deck. However, it's not forced to attack. So we really want things that force attacks. I love this card, though. There we go. I saw a couple people mention this one. Goblin Diplomats. Yes. A yes, please. Thank you. That definitely goes in this deck. Yeah, Disrupt Decorum is going to be a good one. Siren's Call. Cast this spell only during an opponent's turn before attackers are declared. Creatures the active player controls attack this turn if able. At the beginning of your next end step, destroy all non-wall creatures that player controls that didn't attack. Yes. This is hilarious. This is hilarious. Each opponent... Oh god, 7 mana. Who's in here suggesting 7 mana creatures? Enters the battlefield. Each opponent creates a 1/1 red pirate creature token with this creature can't block, and creatures you control attack each combat if able. That's what I'm definitely talking about. Yeah, if you can get this onto the battlefield. Siren's Call is hilarious. Get a little Siren's Call on Isochron Scepter. Was it an instant? Yeah, it's got to be an instant, right? Yeah. Yeah, how about that? That's a pretty funny build, yo. I saw some people suggesting propaganda. Yeah, I mean, that's good. That's good. It's not directly the synergy that we're looking for right now, which is forcing things to attack as much as possible. What are the name of those enchantment auras that was Goad before Goad was around, really. Right, you. Later. Yeah, it's okay. It does create dragons for you to hit. Impetus? Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, there was another round even before Impetus. There were some Buzzfuzz. You always tell me to take them out of my decks when I put them into the lists. But the Impetuses in this are good, is very good. It's gonna go on their best thing. I like that. Yo, the spam today is insane. Vows, thank you, yes. Vow of. Here we go. Gonna give something flying, so it's gonna be connecting. Gonna give first strike so they don't want to block it. That could be very good. Yeah, for sure. Vengeful Ancestor is definitely in this deck. That's one of those like one-off. Oh, did I spell that wrong? Hell yes, I did. Pretty much any card that says Goad is going to go in this deck for sure. I was looking for more of the outside the like Goad spectrum of cards that have been printed a lot recently, because we've had a ton of Goad printed recently, especially in the last 2 years. But all of these are going to go in here for sure. It's interesting. My favorite deck for a long time, like a year or two ago, was Marisi, Breaker of the Coil. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, goad each creature that player controls. So you're only in Naya, so we're not obviously getting access to, you know, cards like this. But you put some small unblockable things in, you start punching through. You know, this was really when I explored Goad for the first time, and it's on a creature that was printed in a time where Goad wasn't really a thing. I mean, there's been so much Goad pop up recently. We've got 27 cards now where it says Goad on it. Oh, look at this. This is our Lucas the Sharpshooter. Sack an artifact, deals 1 damage to target creature, goad that creature. Do some artifact tokens in here. Y'all, I'm banning this bot as fast as I can do it. Oh, vows don't force. Oh, I didn't even see that. The vows don't force. Was I reading those wrong? Ah, yes. It just says can't attack you. So the vows don't work for this, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, as far as the commander goes, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Let's look at the last one here. Nalia Dearnis. Let's build this one. 3 mana, 3/3. Look at the top card of your library anytime. You may cast Cleric, Rogue, Warrior, and Wizard spells from the top of your library. It's very strong. Oracle of Moldiah. Anybody? At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you have a full party, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and those creatures gain Death Touch until end of turn. Death Touch is always good for an attacking deck because it really de-incentivizes blocking, which is what you don't want to happen a lot. If you've got a go wide strategy, which this is sort of a go wide-ish, this is a go medium. Because we do need to have a full party, which is Cleric, Rogue, Warrior, and Wizard. We're going to get Rogue off of Nalia, so we should probably give preference to good Clerics, Warriors, and Wizards. And then it's like once you assemble the party, you don't want to play any more creatures. You just want to have that party keep attacking, growing, attacking with Death Touch. So we got Clerics, Warriors, and Wizards that we need to figure out. And our commander is black-white. That is our limitation here. Type, Warrior. Let's see what we got first. Oh, we got some good options here. I really like a card like this card is so humble, but so good in this deck. Because you are going to guarantee yourself that you get a warrior on the battlefield pretty much all the time. This is a great one. Love reassembling skeleton in here. Whenever a token... Golgari Thug is cool because it's got dredge. This is how I would want to build this. Low CMC, blood-soaked champion. Yas. Cliffhaven's great in this deck. No, they gain Death Touch, not Lifelink. Cliffhaven's okay in this deck. I would want to go low CMC. And I would want to go as much recursion type cards, Blood Soaked, Golgari Thug, Reassembling Skeleton, that we possibly can. Gutter Bones. Yes. We got some excellent choices there. It's Clerics, right? Yep, got Clerics, Warriors, Wizards. Mother of Runes, Grand Abolisher. Veto. I actually don't hate this card because it's got the built-in 5 mana give your creatures lifelink. That's pretty cool. Relevant. Yawgmoth, very strong. Look at all these low CMCs. That's what I'm talking about. Nobody wants to block the 1/1 with Death Touch, but suddenly after a few attacks, we're looking at a 3/3, a 4/4 with Death Touch. It just keeps growing. And it's whenever they... It's at the beginning of combat on your turn, period, if you have a full party. So we also want to be like creating relevant creature tokens of these. That'll allow us to grow our line even huger without committing more resources, because this is going to be an aggro deck. So we don't want to like overplay our hand. We want to get party on the full party on the battlefield. And then we want to sort of like lay off. And so if we have passive token creators operating at the same time to grow our line, we are still growing our board without having to overcommit our creature resources. I kind of dig that. I kind of dig that. I think that that's pretty good. Let's look at our wizard options in these colors. We have good options for warriors and clerics. Oh, baby. Yep, there's some strong wizards too. I like this. I like Guild Mage a lot. I don't mind Necromancer. In a pinch, it can return something in the grave from the graveyard for you. Dark Confidant, just because, why not? Draenith Magistrate, just because we're mean. Same Aven Mind Sensor. I especially like that it's got flash. Yeah, for sure. Full party guaranteed is Changelings, Maskwood. Obviously, as many of these as you can possibly put in here, right? Does it have to have the keyword in the... I'm not sure if it's Oregon. Yeah, here we go. Yes. All of these go in the deck. All of the relevant ones. I don't want to be too cocky about all of these are going to go in there. But like Graveshifter, very good in this. This is relevant. Seen a lot of people talk about Shadowborn. Yeah, I mean, you could go that route. If we're going to play that, we want to play a lot of them. I think I'd rather just shove this deck full of changelings. I mean, we already got 22 cards here. Not all of them are going to run, but if we can pull 15 out of this, like, this is awesome. Skeletal Changeling, are you serious? This card is so kick-ass in this deck. Every creature type, and it can be regenerated. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. To have a full party, you can't just have one changeling on the battlefield. You would need 4 changelings on the battlefield, correct? Because that would give you a cleric, a rogue, a warrior, and a wizard, which is necessary. Okay. So that could be a very fun way. At the very least, when you play these, you're getting whatever you don't have. And then obviously you can throw some other rogues in there too, because you don't want to fully count on Nalia, but Nalia can be your rogue to back up your clerics, rogues, and clerics, warriors, and wizards. And then yeah. Oh, let's look at commander is black white. So we've got some party payoffs as well. Coveted prize is going to be your tutor. And you get a free spell if you cast it with full party. Thwart the Grave is returning a bunch of stuff. That is absolutely in the stack. Yeah, there are a decent amount of changelings to make this a fun build. I just want to go all in on the synergy of this. Acquisitions expert. I love this like reduced removal. Little destruction spell that gets reduced. And then we go down from there. But we get a few cards out of that as well. Nalia is pretty cool. Yep, so, I mean, as far as these commanders go, which one do y'all think is the most potent? Captain Ingethrod with our horrors having menace and milling cards. We got Faldorn, Dreadwolf, Herald, little impulse draw, little token creator for wolf tribal sort of thing. Got Furcrag, goading stuff if your dragons are attacking, regardless if you're forcing creatures to attack on your opponent's side. Furcrag, and they connect. They do need to connect. Deals combat damage. Put a +1/+1 counter on him and draw a card. Honestly, just go like can't block. This is a big one too. Wherever our red enchantment is that says creatures can't be blocked. What is the name of that one? Bedlam? There we go. Creatures can't block. Boom. Run like stuff like that alongside Furcrag too. I think I saw somebody talking about that. And then we got Nalia de Arnis. What's y'all's favorite one? Let me know. Those are our face commanders. We got some other commanders as well. Let me see if this is all of our... Yeah, we got some creatures here. And then we want to talk about... Where's that Planeswalker commander? Where'd that guy go? Monster manual? Is this foil etched? Every legendary... Sorry about that. Every legendary creature in background and commander is going to have foil etched alternate version. So those are coming back. Here's Elminster. We'll come back and talk about him. I want to talk about some of the commanders we're seeing. The rulebook cards. The list. What is the monster manual? Yeah, pack attack. Yeah. So let's talk about some of the other commanders that we saw. Some of the non-face commanders. I believe they were down here. Those are the uncommons. We're going to talk about the rares. So let's talk about some of the rare commanders that we saw from the set that aren't in the precons. We'll talk about them really quickly. Babala Saga Night Witch, a green, a black, and 1. Tap it, sacrifice up to 3 permanents. If there were 3 or more card types among the sacrificed permanents, each opponent loses 3 life, you gain 3 life, and you draw 3 cards. This seems really fun to me. I'm not sure if people really liked this one when this was previewed, but 3 or more card types among the sacrificed permanents. I mean, you can sacrifice tokens, right? Because tokens are going to have types. I'm not wrong about that, right? It's worded strangely. I mean, it's worded specifically, so it's making me second guess myself. But we want to sacrifice what? A creature, an artifact, and an enchantment. That could be good. What kind of tokens can we create? Create token in green and black. I know we do a lot of artifact tokens easy. Zombies, creatures, plants, construct, artifact, creature. That's two right out of the gate. Yeah, token itself isn't a type, but the tokens themselves have type, so we can create different types of tokens to be sacrificing. And it's got to have a card type, so I'm assuming that's creature, artifact, enchantment. Create enchantment token, is that a thing? Pests seem decent in this. Treasure token, obviously anything that's going to create a treasure token. Yeah, run a lot of lands. Make one of the 3 things that you sacrifice a land. I mean, you are replacing, you're drawing 3 cards. So if even if you just have 1 or 2 tokens supplementing what you're doing totally, sacking a land in addition, you're going to replace that land. And you're in a deck, you're in a colors where it's going to pull all your lands onto the battlefield. Yeah, I'm looking for, okay, so this is not a good mana cost here, but put 2/3 enchantment creature tokens onto the battlefield. That's not bad. Create enchantment token. Here we go. Farika. Yes, this card is good in here. Exile target creature card from a graveyard, already good. Its owner creates a 1/1 black and green snake enchantment creature token with death touch. So we can use it aggressively, or we can use it for ourselves to have that one more thing to sacrifice. And if we're sacrificing creature cards, there's going to be creature cards in our graveyard for sure. Yeah, at the head of a deck, not sure. I think that there are a lot of like Jund sacrifice decks that this could be a really good card in, because you do get to draw 3 cards. That's just really insane. Yeah, Jason, like the Corvold deck needed more help, but it is another good piece in that 99. Let's look at Raphael, Fiendish Savior. Other demons, devils, imps, and tieflings you control get +1/+1 and lifelink. So just off the rip, commander is red and black. We're looking for type demon, and we want to sort edhrec. Obviously, tons of really strong demons. Look at all this. What else have we got? Devil. Turns out there are some really strong devils as well. Have y'all played Sin Prodder? What do y'all think of Sin Prodder? I've played it a couple of times. I end up cutting it. At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal the top card of your library. Any opponent may have you put that card into your graveyard, and if that player does, Sin Prodder deals damage to that player equal to that card's mana value. Otherwise, put that card into your hand. It hasn't really operated how I've wanted it to operate. But there's some really cool devils. What are other creature types here? Tieflings and imps? What do we have here? Ha! Okay, we've got some playable imps. Barely. Oh, look, Maddening Imp. I covered this in the Secret Commander tech. Look at that art. That thing looks insane. That card is fun. I like a death-touching Stinkweed Imp. We can dredge it back up if we need another death-touching flyer. Yep, they all get +1/+1, and they have lifelink. All right, that's Imp. Let's see, what do we have? Tiefling. How many Tieflings are there in the game? Not many, but we can run Prosper in this deck. Also, Grim Hireling is really strong. Horde Robber's decent. Death Priest doesn't really go in here. Valor Singer does, but like, why? There's definitely better options. So we got some cool stuff for Raphael Tribal. Then it says at the beginning of each end step, if a creature card was put into your graveyard from anywhere, create a 1/1 red devil creature token with when this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. And it has lifelink. So deal a damage, gain a life. That's pretty cool. Let's look up, I'll do this. Let's look up, says devil in the create a devil token. A lot of these, that's not gonna be relevant. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about here. Create a 1/1 red devil creature token with when this creature dies, it deals a damage to any target. Like this, +1/+0 and gain haste until end of turn. This card goes in this deck for sure. This is a planeswalker that goes in this deck. I don't know how strong it'll be, but we'll play test it for sure. I mean, don't you just love any deck where you can unironically run Tibalt Rakish Instigator? Sire of Insanity definitely goes in this deck. If you want to be crazy. But this will be creating devils for you. I like Power Word Kill in there for the flavor. I remember Vexing Devil from back in the day. That's so funny. Oh, look, Obnixilis the Adversary. That could go in there. Yeah. Borga said it. Raphael Fiendish Savior's got some play. 5 mana, but it does get flying. For the 4/4 body. We also saw Gorion Wise Mentor. It's Bant for a 3/4 human wizard with vigilance. Whenever you cast an adventure spell, you may copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. White, green, and blue for our adventure spells. Here's what we got so far. 21 adventure spells that are going to fit into this. Somewhat. Fae of Wishes obviously isn't going to play. Hypnotic Sprites, just casting 2 counter spells. I love Giant Killer. I love that. Don't really love Secret Keeper. Queen of Ice is pretty cool. You get into long tap 2 things. 2 destroy spells copied, not really worth it. Shepherd of the Flock, very relevant in this deck. I like this a lot. So hopefully we get, I mean, we did see we are going to get some more adventure spells. Hopefully we get some ones that are more fun to copy. You know, these 4 across the top, solid. Solid to copy. Solid to cast. It's just one of these cards that, you know, it's going to depend on the strength of the cards that can go in this, right? This is like a tribal commander for a tribe that doesn't have a ton of support. Hopefully we get a lot of good adventure cards in these 3 colors so that Gorion has some cards to support it as a deck. But otherwise, it's a very narrow build. You're building adventure tribal. On the card, it says it doesn't give you specific draw a card. So that's good. In my opinion, they've been putting draw a card on too many commanders recently. But I think it's fun. I think it's cool that we could get... I always call them tribal, even though it's not a specific tribe. This is adventure tribal, right? I think you've probably heard me refer to this guy that way a couple times now. This is just a tribe that is getting a commander, and the tribe itself doesn't have a lot of support. But over time, it absolutely will gain more. And look, the next time Eldraine comes up, keep this commander in your mind. The next time we go back to Eldraine, you know adventure's going to be a mechanic that returns. People loved it. And people overall loved Eldraine. So you know we're going back. I think it could gain some potency over time. Currently, you're looking at 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 8 that I really like. Maybe 8 of them that I really like. There are 21 options though. And so to build the deck, you just have to kind of like put them all in there and hope for the best. Hope for the best. Mazzy, True Sword Paladin. Nice little Naya commander here. Cool art. Halfling Knight. White, a green, a red, and one other for a 3/4 Halfling Knight. Whenever an enchanted creature attacks one of your opponents. Whenever an enchanted creature attacks one of your opponents, it gets +2/+0 and gains trample. Whenever an enchanted creature attacks one of your opponents. Whenever an aura you control is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, exile it. Until the end of your next turn, you may cast that card. So the first thing we do is we look up in our colors, red, green, white, type aura. We want to go cheapest. None of these are creature auras. Here we go. Now we're into it. All that glitters, rancor. Ethereal armor. Bear umbra. I want to go cheap though. Spirit mantle. Yas. That's what I'm talking about. Thing is my very first commander deck ever was Uriel. And Uriel is just a house. Used to be a house. Not as housey anymore. But still really good. Got hexproof before hexproof was a keyword. And it gets 2/2 for each aura attached to it. So you can go Voltron. You can make it just a really strong attacker on your side. But I do like that this is giving +2/+0. It's giving trample. That's much more relevant than the +2/+0 in my opinion. And it'll let you cast your auras, but you do have to cast them until the end of your next turn. You have to cast them by then. So you've got to really look at your 1 and 2, maybe your 3 mana auras as your best synergistic plays with this. Obviously, I'm not saying don't run 5 or 6 mana auras. Run your colossification, boo-boo. However, you want to be able to recast them from exile. You want to be able to also cast new things so that you can get ahead. Flickering Ward is one of the best possible cards for a deck like this. Because it gets to return. It can also recast for really cheap with Mazzy True Sword Paladin's ability. Very strong. Obviously, yeah, I'm seeing some people in chat talk about you have to recast them. Yep, that is going to be the downside of this commander. But it does at least give you the ability to stay in the game. These kinds of strategies have not had a lot of game longevity in the past. You got to run things like return all enchantments from your graveyard to the battlefield. That kind of card. But you can't do that until super late. You don't want to do that just for your one, Spirit Mantle. Just for your one Flickering Ward that you weren't able to return because you forgot to leave a white mana open. Hint, hint, please just leave a white mana open if you've got Flickering Ward on the battlefield. But you want to wait until you got a bunch of cards in there. Ancestral Mask, Hyena Umbra. Mantle of the Ancients is the kind of like end game effect I'm talking about. ETBs return any number of aura and equipments from the graveyard attached to an enchanted creature. I think that Mazzy is going to beat one of y'all that are underestimating it one day, and you'll see. But also, I'm not sitting here saying it's the strongest commander that we've seen today. I just think it's got some play. We saw Gale, Waterdeep Prodigy, with the coolest art so far, in my opinion. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand, you may cast up to one target card of the other type from your graveyard. Spell cast from your graveyard this way would be put into your graveyard. Exile it. And it's got choose a background. You go and choose a background. You can add different colors. We only saw a few of the backgrounds, but you know, there are things like it gets menace when it attacks. Commander creatures get the ability to, here we go. When this creature enters the battlefield at the beginning of your upkeep, each player may put 2+1/+1 counters on a creature they control for each opponent who does. You gain protection from that player until your next turn. That's okay. I don't like things that give choices like that. You're going to definitely get to grow your stuff with +1/+1 counters. We haven't seen all the backgrounds yet, so it's sort of hard to talk about those. But I do think there'll be like one or two killer ones. And for a creature that so easily allows you, and cheaply, might I add, 3 mana for this commander, that's cheap. You put a lot of stuff in here, 1, 2, 3 mana instant and sorcery spells, you're popping off. Popping off. So we'll see once backgrounds come out what we can combine Gale with to make the Waterdeep Prodigy an absolute house. But I really like the potential of this commander. I think that this could see some play. Asterion's a 6 mana 4/4 vampire elf rogue word soup here. Death touch, lifelink, beginning of your end step, choose to have a target opponent lose life equal to the amount of life they lost this turn, or you gain life equal to the amount of life you gained this turn. So it's kind of interesting because if Asterion gets through, it is technically going to be attacking for 8 because then you can activate feed. Target opponent loses life equal to the amount of life lost this turn, but it's still just a 4/4 for 6. Comes in kind of late, but it is redundancy on enchantments that do this. I mean, have you ever heard of Wound Reflection? Beginning of each end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life they lost this turn. So this could be the good commander of a deck where you are just leaning into that effect fully. You've got wound cards like Wound Reflection. You've got cards like Sanguine Bond, Exquisite Blood. And this does happen at the beginning of your end step. So the card is going to count things even while it's not on the battlefield. And let me tell you what I mean by that. You can attack through, say you get a bunch of vampire tokens on the battlefield, punch through, okay, take 10. That's their option. They just have to take 10. Boom, you drop Asterion on the battlefield, move to your end step, target opponent lose life equal to the amount of life they lost this turn. That's another hit for 10. So it could potentially line up some really strong plays. Are there any artifacts? What kind of artifact do we need to double this ability at the beginning of your end step? Have we got any abilities? Have we got any artifacts that are going to allow us to do that twice? Yeah, Veto's huge. That's exactly the kind of card I'm talking about. Wound Reflection, Sanguine Bond, Veto. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. Absolutely. Lithoform Engine. Strionic Resonator. Talking about some artifacts that live in this deck. that would be very fun to run alongside this. And that's also copying. Look at that. Triggered ability uses the words when, whenever, or at. How about whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life? Oh yeah, there you go. You gain life equal to the life lost total by all players this turn. This is a very interesting build. It's a deck that starts pulling cards to it, you know? It's like I said, this is very niche commander that sort of builds itself, but it could be fun. There's a ton of cards like this. Marauding, yeah, I see people naming them. Boom. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses a life. Can we just go gain life, loses life in white and black commander identity? Oh, yeah. Oh, we're going to see a lot of cards like that. Yeah. Obviously, Sanguine Bond, Exquisite Blood. That's the little 2-card combo. You can get both these on the battlefield and cause an opponent to lose a life, or have you gain a life. You win the game. Some of my favorite decks, Comball, Console of Allocation, my Liesa deck. This is the kind of effects that my Liesa deck loves to run. So who knows? Maybe I'll try a Asterion at the head of that deck and see how it goes. Got two more I want to talk about. Dynahair. Dynahair, Invoker Adept. This is an interesting one. You can activate abilities of other creatures you control as though those creatures had haste. So can somebody start looking up awesome cards that if only they had haste as far as their activated abilities go? What kind of creatures have an ability where you're like, this ability is so bomb, but it has to wait until it can tap? That's the kind of creatures we want to run in this deck, and they have to be Jeskai. Also, we can tap Dynahair when you next activate an ability this turn by spending 4 or more mana to activate it. Copy that ability. So let's do some advanced searching here. We need activated ability. Hidetsugu? Yeah, RJ. You've been playing some League with me. I played Hidetsugu last time. Can we just search out colon? So if we go creature, type, commander in white, blue, red. We just look at colon, mana. Tap this permanent. Yeah. There we go. Sorted by rank. Is this a Kiki Jiki deck? Is this a Kiki Jiki deck? And we're looking for specifically abilities that activate by spending 4 or more mana to activate it. So we're looking for creatures that have like X tap or 4 tap. We don't want to duplicate returning Arcanus the Omnipotent. Not worth it. Time Stream Navigator seems relevant. Hey, here we go. Osgir the Reconstructor's ability. Exile an artifact card with mana value X from your graveyard. That seems very specific. That seems like what we're looking for, but not kind of where we want to land. Just because you have to build artifact strategy so hard, and this doesn't scream artifact strategy to me. It screams creatures. Time Stream Navigator. Pay 4, put it on the bottom. Take an extra turn. That seems relevant. That seems relevant. for sure. Oh, here we go. Now return target artifact creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Maybe there is an artifact strategy here. Nin? Hey, this is relevant. Nin can go in this deck? Oh yeah, I like this. Deals X damage to target creature. Creature's controller draws X cards. I like Nin the Paid Artist in this deck. Three, nothing, three. Plarg Dean of Chaos. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-legendary non-land card with mana value 3 or less. Cast that card without paying its mana cost. That's actually not irrelevant in this deck, especially if it's copied, right? Because you're gonna have a lot of creatures that are 3 or less. Not to not to mention your mana rocks, any of your, like enchantment removal kind of cards. That could be good. A deck where Plarg Dean of Chaos is relevant. And then Augusta gets nasty on the back with all of your creatures. That's possible. That is possible. Any other... Okay, so let's look at Oracle that, and then O. I also want to look just for the X. That's got to be a thing, right? Here we go. Elite Arcanist. Didn't somebody say this? Elite Arcanist, when it enters the battlefield, exile an instant card from your hand. X, copy the exiled card. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. X is the converted mana cost of the exiled card. So we specifically, this is dumb. We specifically want to exile a 4 mana instant with Elite Arcanist, who is a 1/1, and then pay the 4 to copy it, and we get to copy it again with Dynahair. Don't say we didn't jump through hoops, okay? That's okay. Now here we go. League Guildmage. This is good right here. I like this. 4 tap, draw a card. Repeatable. Not that we're gonna have a problem doing that in these colors, but it's not irrelevant. And then for 3 mana spells, copy target instant or sorcery you control converted mana cost X or less. So, or no, with converted mana cost X, and you can choose new copy. So you can copy a spell that you're casting, copy it again, copy it again. That could be pretty crazy. Not a ton of payoffs here. Not a ton of payoffs for spending 4 or more mana to activate it. Is this an ability? Doesn't have to be, y'all, it doesn't have to be creatures, Joel. Come on. Whoops, suddenly we have a lot of artifacts. Duh. That seems good to copy. Oh, interesting. Blast Zone. Could you put... You could copy how many... I mean, you got to spend... So if I spend 2, I'm spending 4 total. For an XX ability with Blast Zone, does Dynahair copy that? Activate by spending 4 or more mana to activate it, right? Yeah, you're spending 4 total. Spending 2 twice. Spending 2 twice to put a ton of charge counters on Blast Zone. Not irrelevant. Hey, what's up, John? Same thing here, Prototype Portal. Maybe there is an artifact sub-strategy here. Create a token that's a copy of the exiled card. So this is one where you'd want the CMC of the artifact that you imprint on Prototype Portal to be 4 or greater so that you can cast it. You create a token. You also you copy the ability with Dynahair. This is an interesting card. It's going to take some digging to really find the cards that are awesome. Yeah, I saw the twice treasures up here. That's not bad, right? With Treasure Vault. Pay 2 twice. I mean, yeah, you really want to dump a ton of mana into this. Pay 3 twice. Then at least you're getting 6. Soul Foundry's like Prototype Portal, except it's for creatures. Go digging with Podium. Rod of Absorption's pretty good overall. Now, this is really interesting in this deck because it's kind of a deck that wants creatures, right? Creatures with activated abilities. Search your library for a creature card with mana value X or less. So you can pay 4 to do this, get any creature card 1 through 4. You're copying that ability. Sentinel Flute's got some play in this. And note that this does not have a lot of prints here. 10th edition was the last one. Maybe look at foils of this. Maybe look at foils of Sentinel Flute as Dynahair becomes more popular and people start exploring this commander. So there are some options for Dynahair. We got one more I want to talk about. Bahal, Lord of Murder. How did y'all pronounce this? Y'all corrected the person who was telling us about this, right? What is this one called? Bahal? 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 Go down to MTG and get myself a Bahal, Lord of Murder. As long as your life total is less than or equal to half your starting life total. So as long as you're at 20 or less, Bahal is an indestructible 4/4. That's kind of a who cares from me. It's a nice, but it's a who cares. I don't know about this. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature and goad it. Y'all, this deck runs Squee. Play it from graveyard or exile. This deck runs Blood Soaked. All the cards that we talked about we wanted to recast from the graveyard. Gutter Bones. Reassembling Skeleton. And then you combine that with a card like any literal altar. Ashnods, Dementia, Phyrexian. Carnage if you're budget. Get any of these 3. Shove them into ball. Get your Woe Striders. Grab your Woe Striders. Is it non-token? Yes, it is. So we do want, like I showed you, the creature cards. We want those dying. It is pronounced Baal, like Christian. Got it. Baal, Lord of Murder. This is the kind of stuff you want. You want a reoccurring. You want to be sacrificing. You want to reoccur them. You want to drop counters on your opponent's creatures, and you want to goad them. Interesting. Will it see a lot of play? I don't know. Sukuruya. That was bad, but I tried. Get a couple points for trying. I do think that this card becomes a 99 creature in Jund sacrifice decks. This could be a cool 99 creature in a Jund sacrifice deck, because then you're going to get that little bit of residual value. But I don't know that I would build around this personally. But I mean, it's got support. It's got a lot of support. All of these that we talked about. Any of these that can come back, sack it, goad their creature, you're in the money. God, Goat has gotten a lot of love, haven't they? Goat has just been getting so much love over the last couple years. I guess real quick, we also talk about Elminster. This was also a commander that is not in the precons that we could see. Whenever you scry, the next instant or sorcery spell you cast this turn costs X less to cast, where X is the number of cards looked at while scrying this way. Then, +2, draw a card, scry 2. Boom. So +2, and on Elminster, you're drawing a card, and then the next instant or sorcery spell you cast just off of that is 2 less to cast. 2 generic mana less to cast. And look, that passive ability does not say this only happens once per turn. So we scry, we cast. We scry, we cast. We scry, we cast. Look, this sucks, y'all, but I mean, and it's going to be mean. People are going to hate it. But you know what phrase I'm going to search for? In a commander that's white and blue. Extra, not type line, not type line. Extra turn. Here you go. Here's your cards. Type instant. Let's look at those first. Oh, it's just Nexus, right? Yeah. So we got Nexus, type, sorcery. Boom. Here you go. Here's your deck. Found it. Here's your deck. Elminster, extra turns. Draw card, scry 2. Suddenly, Karn's Temporal Sundering is 4 mana. Take an extra turn. What? Time Warp. 3 mana. What? Time Warp doesn't say exile. Flash this back. That's what speaks to me when I see Elminster. But then we've also got this -3. Exile the top card of your library. Create a number of 1/1 blue fairy dragon creature tokens with flying, equal to that card's mana value. Huge. This is an excellent suggestion, Fail Out Gaming. This is huge. Love this. If you got enough mana, you're buying it back every time. I want to look at Commander is white-blue. And I want to look at CMC greater than or equal to 7. What can we play here? Is it instant or sorcery? No, it's just exile the top card of your library, create a number of 1/1 blue. So we're scrying our... we're scrying our giant spells to the top of our library simply to exile them. So we can make 1/1 fairy dragons. Whee! We don't need Vanquish the Horde right now. Oh my god, Vanquish the Horde loves this deck because it reduces any spells in here that are like this. This is what you need to kind of look for in this deck, because you want high CMC spells that can also reduce themselves so that when you cast them, you're not actually casting them, like Treasure Cruise. You know, however the reduction happens, you want high CMC spells that reduce themselves naturally, but can be good targets for Elminster to exile off the top of the library. We scry with a card like Mystic Speculation, and then we exile Vanquish the Horde off because we don't want to wipe the board right now. Any of our Eldrazi's. Ooh, split cards. Don't we add CMC for split cards? That's exactly the kind of card you want to look for in this. Yeah, Connor, see, that's what I'm saying. Connor, you nailed it here. Extra turns, plus Eldrazi, plus Delve. That doesn't sound like a weak deck, does it? We very quickly start going into, oh, we're running powerhouse cards in this. Even better if they are type instant or sorcery. Let's look at what we got for instance. Commit to Memory. Huge. Into the Story. This you want to run in this deck because it counts itself as 7 mana to go create 7 1/1s if you need that, or you can cast it for 4 if one of your opponents has Threshold. Elminster seems powerful. Elminster seems powerful. Seems like it could be good. Y'all, that is going to do it for me today. I got to be honest. We shot our preview card video last night. Jake and I did. And now sitting here talking for 2 hours and 40 minutes. My voice is kind of tired. So, what I want you to do is hit like, hit subscribe. We are going to be covering this set like crazy. We've got a sort of new way of covering these sets as they reveal. We're going to try. I hope you enjoy it. It's going to be a lot of live streams. I think that captures the preview season better because we can all talk about it together. So what I want you to do is like, subscribe. What I want you to do is go jump into our Discord. If you haven't been in our Discord, you got to be there. It's such a cool place. I'm not just lying because it's ours. We're talking Commander and MTG Finance in there all day. If you want to support us further, check out our Patreon. Got a lot of cool stuff over there too. I want to see y'all back here tomorrow night, Wednesday night. That is tomorrow. Jake and I will be live. We're going to try a new weekly live series. We're going to see how it goes. We're going to go one episode at a time. Little jam live. We're going to cover a bunch of different topics. See if we can have some conversations together, make some videos together. Really appreciate y'all hanging out today. Let's jump back over to chatting. My stream deck is not working. There we go. Appreciate everybody hanging out. I'll be in the Discord talking about previews probably all day, as will Jake. Other than that, I hope y'all enjoyed. I had a good time. I will catch y'all later. See y'all tomorrow night. We got Jam live tomorrow night. We got Foil Quest live Thursday night. And then we got new videos dropping every day, except for Saturday. We normally only drop a short on Saturdays. That's it. Happy Tuesday. Bye-bye. I want to go get some lunch. I'm hungry. Catch you very soon. Love you, mean it.